medical studies show that 2 out of 3 women and many, many men lack the daily iron your body requires in a form your body can easily use and put to work. Every dose gives you more than your daily minimum iron requirement. We are awake, we are awake, we are not alone. We are striving for more. So if you're not getting the iron your body needs, we are awake. If you feel weak, run down, and are easily upset, start taking iron today.
It's Friday, my dudes.
It is Friday, my dudes, and a TGIF to you all. Welcome to Have No Sphere right here on the Iron Rail Media YouTube channel. My name is Josh Corey. Believe it or not, we might actually have something planned. Sort of. Zach had something in the works, and I'm just not the world's greatest communicator. But let's jump right in and say hello to folks. Let's start off just because we can with Mr. Walter Johnson. You might know him as Flat Earth Head here on the YouTubes. It's been a hot minute, but let's welcome him back. Walter, how the hell you doing, sir?
Hi, I am here by the artist, but I'm here. I have almost gotten over the cat scratch fever. I'm still healing from my dental fund and causing me some problems, still swollen and things like that. Fun times. But I missed you guys and was excited for James. So I am here. May not say much, and I may not shut up. We'll see what happens. But yeah, love you guys. Thank you all for the support. Missed y'all.
Well, we missed you too, but it would turn out that my wife is home as of right now. And you can hear my dogs going crazy in the back. That's all right. Let's say hello to Mrs. Cammie Nodell, the woman with whom I've not had a chance to speak all week long. Cammie, how are you, my dear?
Hey, I'm doing good. It's good to be here. I want to know, on the intro song when we list, there was a cut in it about bong water and taking a bong. Now, was that part of the clip, or did somebody here add it into the clip? Because I think you should hold that. I don't know if you noticed it, but
No, I think it was right at the beginning. And nope, I think that was a live mix.
I think so too. I think it needs to be part of the intro, and we can mark the show in Affinity. I mean, it was actually a nice ad. I caught that and it's like, wow, that just really fit in nicely. It timed in well with the music. It was well done.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. That was me.
Yeah, I've had a week. I've been contemplating the analemma all week, and so that just kind of puts you into loop-de-loop land. But no pun intended. Just been a real quiet week here. Getting the ground prepared for the hot tub, and good to hear Walt's voice. Walt, I prefer that you go on a rage and talk all night. So
it could happen. It damn sure could happen.
I like it. Well, let's
Thank
move
you,
it
Logan
on.
Cook. I just saw the super chat. We appreciate that for a great show. Thank you, sir.
Yes, we do. I thought I had mashed it up there, but apparently I got Martin's ditto on screen instead. So that's all right.
Oh, and I wanted to say, I'm not looking at the chat right now or on the screen. I'm in a different room than a computer, just on the headset. But I wanted to say, I hear Liz is back. Liz, I've been missing you. So a shout out to Liz.
Shout out to Liz.
Yes, you must have gotten her dental fun
Oh,
as
yeah.
well.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yes.
But she says we
No,
didn't
no,
hear the
but
start, and that's because I still had our mics muted so that they couldn't hear us when I went live. So there's that first. The bit about the bong water was not included, unfortunately.
I can help with that every show if you need it. If you need it.
Done.
Now, what they don't see in the background is we were all actually here early for the show, and had the conversation going so good that we couldn't break into conversation to go live because nobody took a breath. But it was really great times. It's been great. You guys all have a great Friday night. See you next week.
it was great.
It was great. Let's see if we can get it going again because it's been really great conversation in the pre-show. And welcome everybody to Friday night.
Welcome to Friday night. Let's say hello to Mr. Zachary Zabala. You might know him as Good Times for All here on the YouTube. You know what? Damn it, I do it every freaking time. You might know Cammie from her channel, Aisling717. But if not, then you might know her husband as well. He's got a little channel. You can figure it out. Let's say hello to Mr. Zachary Zabala. How you doing, Zach?
Hey, Josh. Hey, everybody. Hope you're all having a good evening, day, whatever time it is, wherever you are. Yeah, it's getting chilly around here. I always get into kind of a funk when the weather swings. I mean, I can't complain. It is December. So, but yeah, besides that, things are good. Been actually working on a hat for the guest. This is the third attempt at this hat. The first one came out too big, but the design was awesome, so I didn't want to get rid of the design. It was the first time I ever put a design in a hat like that. And then the second hat, I put a bunch of letters into in like different coloring. And I learned the hard way that you need to tie the knots, but don't cut them until after you wash it and shrink it. So like a C and an L came out all right, and the rest of the 8 letters, you couldn't even tell what they were. So I pulled that apart, but I had so much intent and built up into the hemp that I didn't want to waste it. So I took the first hat and I'm adding the second hat to it and making like a kind of a Rastafarian type hat where it's got like a big ball on the end of it. It should be pretty cool.
I'm super excited. This is James in Colorado in the mountains. Does everybody know how you got started making those hats? The story you told me about the $5-10 and helping out people?
Oh, yeah, I don't know if they all know about it, but yeah, I mean, we've talked about it before. I was here on Iron Realm while I was doing that, nomading around.
That was a good story.
When I was, making hats for just pretty much the homeless people out there in the desert, the nomads wandering around. And people would donate, $10 and I'd go and give a hat to somebody. That felt good. It really did.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'll go around town up here in the mountains. I'll go around town and I'll give my salve away, my edible salve. I'll just gift or donate, to a business owner or someone that I know in the community and let them know, how it can help them and activate their endocannabinoid system.
Well, yeah, let's start off. Everybody, this is James. I actually met him at Flattoberfest. That was your first meetup, wasn't it?
Yeah, I would say officially. Yeah, I would say we drove from Colorado, so that definitely makes it official.
Yeah, that's a trek. But yeah, and I hit it off with this guy right away. You could just, when you get that vibe off somebody, it was like, dude, this guy's cool.
We rented a van. It was awesome. It was Spicy Sarah, Griffin, and Patrick, and it was 4 of us. And so we did the trek, and I was blessed to meet Cammie and Bob and Zach and the whole crew there.
Oh, and Spicy Sarah's got to be so much fun to travel with. I mean, I miss that Colorado group. So yeah.
Yeah.
And it is quite a drive. It took us, I think, 3 or 4 days to make it. So you're probably younger people about it than we were.
Yeah, 3 dudes doing shifts. It wasn't too bad.
So tell us a little bit about what you do out there in Colorado. You know, your how you
Yeah.
go about helping people in your way.
So it started, I would say, about 10 years ago. I came out here and was downtown Denver, and eventually turned my apartment into an Airbnb, and it just so happened that the rec laws had just passed, and so I made it a 420 friendly Airbnb, and this was just an apartment that I had, and I had an opportunity where I was going to be out of town for a few months, so I knew the business of renting out vacation rentals, and so sure enough, when I put 420 friendly, my phone was just renting off the hook. This was like 2012, 11, 12. And so one apartment turned into like 5 or 6 actually in downtown Denver. And it was right there behind Coors Field. And they were 420 friendly vacation rentals. And they were all like lofts. And I was just renting apartments, fully furnishing them, and then renting them out. So it was kind of a bit of a hustle. And at the end of it, one of the complexes said, this is your 8th warning. So yeah, so I had at one point I had like 5 or 6, and so I met a lot of people in the industry this way because they were 420 friendly. So I had judges from cannabis contests like the 420 High Times. I had the hybrid U.S. judge stay at my place, and he got there with 38 jars U.S. hybrid strains to be tested, and he didn't let me leave my place for like 2-3 days. I was crashing on my couch, and this guy's name was the international smuggler, Tony. I hope you're out there listening. And it was beautiful. He was this guy from Jersey, this short guy, and I just remember he taught me how to judge the medicine, judge the cannabis. I mean, he'd shoved it so far up his nose when he was smelling it. He always had cannabis boogers. So yeah, so anyway, so then I basically got into growing because I met some people that wanted to grow, and I had an opportunity to go into partnership with some growers, and then we kind of moved up into the mountains, and basically I didn't realize that I was doing this for a reason, that there was more to it. There was a bigger calling, and it was to raise the vibration and help with the truth, and that's what the cannabis and the salve and all the medicine, the THC, and activating the endocannabinoid system, as we know, is a big part of finding the truth. At least for me and in my journey, it doesn't have to be for everybody, but it sure does help, in my opinion. And so I try to get it out there as much as possible, spread the medicine, so then that way they can wake up and step into their power. So I do a lot of donations and give a lot of medicine away, and I do a lot of wholesale and try to help people out.
That is just
That is
amazing.
beautiful.
That's really beautiful.
No, it's interesting, like what you're saying about the therapy from it, because we at our house just had, by Maury and Hank, other people in the community, fabulous, do charts for us, astrology charts, and
Awesome.
one of the things that was on one of the charts was that it was like, this is like a part of it. It's like his listening to 6 stations or six channels at one time and understanding them all. Was written on the on the chart. It's like hearing six stations at once and understanding them all. And when you're talking about what pot and it opens up, some of the times, again, I think our bodies are receivers to the energy that's out there, good, bad, and indifferent. And then even from there, we can get into more, because I've learned a lot recently about viruses too, or what they're doing as viruses and how they replicate and how it works in reality. And it turns out, this is why you can say that viruses aren't alive or doing things. This was new to me, but when I looked into it, viruses grow they don't replicate like plants. They don't replicate like animals. They replicate like crystals, like rocks. They grow ugly ones, by the way. They replicate. It's almost like in cymatics where you have the pretty patterns in your sacred geometry and then your bad music and your viruses. They don't look, by the way, what they show you on the spiky cartoon things. I was watching them grow under an electron microscope, and the cartoon was nothing like reality, by the way. What a surprise. But they grow. So when you look at viruses, you have to think all of your conditions have to be in place, and your terrain has to be, good to grow the viruses. I don't even know where I started with this conversation and ending with terrain and viruses, but
well, it's the frequency, energy, and vibrations that we're
yeah,
talking about.
exactly.
Yeah,
Let's pull back into the frequencies and network
and the
channels. We pick it up
water and the crystals. Yeah,
right. And being as humans that we are a lot of water, and we're a lot of elements that we're receiving. We have the copper, we have the air, and we have the things. We're working like antennas a lot, and I think the marijuana helps clear up or helps us tune. Some people tune into the antennas and tune out other things. Other people, again, depending on your chemistry, it can have make you turn out of your clarity and into white noise. So I think a lot of it is the person itself, but I think with the chemicals that they put out there and feed into us in the pharmaceuticals, what they're trying to do is distune us from it, and the hypothalamus has the opposite effect.
Well, it's very telling that we're told. Well, I say we're told. I think it was Bryce Tyler, something like that, wrote a book about her experiences with the MK Ultra mind control program and the splintering of her personality and the things that she was allowed to do and the things she wasn't allowed to do. And one of the things she was told to avoid is cannabis. All other drugs were encouraged. Please take these drugs by the handfuls, but don't you dare smoke marijuana, whatever you do. So that ought to tell you half your story right there.
And it tells you more than half of the story if you think about it. I didn't know that, but it does fill in a lot.
Well, yeah, I think they learned a long time ago that, at least, the government did. I mean, doctors are catching on now and these scientists doing studies, but for some reason, cannabis makes you almost immune to propaganda. The whole mind control aspect of what they're doing, cannabis doesn't allow that to happen to you. It's like this amazing shield that it builds up for you.
Not a shield. It's almost like you see through it to the whole. It's almost like a clarifying glass that you see that it's propaganda. It's not that you're blind to it or that you're shielded from it. It's almost like you step up a level and it's like, oh my God, how can people listen to this and buy into it?
Yeah. It helps focus. In respect to the energy, frequency, and vibrations in the water and the crystals, that's what I do specifically here with the medicine. So whether I'm making an edible coconut salve or whether I'm working just with the water, I will put quartz crystals, and I'll put the intent in the quartz crystals, and then I'll put that into the water. And I'll also stir the coconut oil with intent with a quartz crystal before it gets poured into the jars. So that energy, frequency, and vibration, just like we whisper to water and tell it whatever you want before you put it into your body, that is just common sense for me. So when you do that and put it into the plants, I honestly tell people that this medicine is going to help wake them up to the truth and help them, heal and detox their mind, body, and spirit, specifically from the matrix.
That is awesome, man.
Amazing. Yeah.
And that's what I try to do with my the hats and stuff that I make. It's not just, you can do this with anything, people. Anything out there, you can actually put your intent right into it.
Anything and everything. In fact,
and it's proven. I mean, it's proven. It's not woo-woo. It's proven time and time again. Talk to your plants, see what happens.
Almost
If you take it
cymatics.
home nice. I mean, same with cymatics is again your visual proof of it. Watch crystals grow. Watch under good conditions. Watch what happens when the conditions go bad and they get locked into frozen into chaos. I mean, part of the beauty.
Yeah, and we're in a spiritual war, right, guys? So they're hiding everything, and everything's backwards, and we're in an upside down world. And so what better way to put our frequencies into anything and everything that we do to transmute and to turn lemons into lemonade?
Exactly.
I seriously believe what you're saying is the key to winning, because you can't fight darkness with darkness. We're like, yeah, we should be angry and we need to fight, but becoming the enemy in order to fight the enemy makes us all the enemy. They win, and they know that, and that's what's being set up right now. So what you're saying and the intent and the putting out, I think that's key to winning the war. That's the only way we can win it.
Yeah.
So what types of music do you listen to, man?
I kind of grew up with the Beastie Boys, a lot of Beastie Boys. And that was me getting high, working out in my room to Beastie Boys, and then everything else, just from reggae to pop. I mean, Michael Jackson, I was a big fan. I had the big headphones in the, I guess, 80s, and I was listening to the record, the Thriller album record that had the amazing art on the inside, with the sleeve.
Mm-hmm.
That Thriller album.
Oh yeah, yes sir, I know it well.
Yeah, so I liked anything that I could dance to, really, too. I like dancing. So I'll even do some hip hop, some 50 Cents, pretty eclectic all over the board. Old country. I grew up, I went to Texas in the summers, so I had the Oak Ridge Boys and old, some of the old, stuff. And then my dad was the Van Morrison and the fan of the, Paul Simon, or who's the other guy? James Taylor. He's a good one too.
Gordon Lightfoot, all of them in there. So with Beastie Boys, did you ever know the song Nettie's Girl?
Which Nutty's Girl?
Nettie's Girl. It's like the worst song ever put out there, and I love the song because it's so terrible. Yeah, I love it. I mean, it's so awful that it's the best to me. And my husband never understood it. I'd play it, and he'd like, "How can you play this?" And it's like, yeah, that's the charm. I cannot play it without like breaking up into laughter and singing along, because I think it's the only song I can sing along to and actually sound better. And if you hear how horrible Nettie's Girl is, so I almost want to play it now just to smile. But yeah, with the Beastie Boys, they are, like, in my book, my sentimental song from them is Nettie's Girl, and it is because it's done. It's Georgie Girl, hey Georgie Girl,
yeah,
Georgie Girl.
Yeah, that was one of their joke songs. Yeah, they actually have some truth. I think a little bit of truth in the Sabotage, that popular Sabotage song that they had. There's a little bit of truth in that one. If you listen to it, the Beastie Boys Sabotage.
Yeah, there's going to be.
Oh, I gotta bring this up. Did you guys hear about Rage Against the Machine? This broke my heart almost. I mean, I know they're all sellouts when they get that big and everything, so I'm not super surprised. But you have to have a vaccine card to get into their shows. The name of the band is called Rage Against the Machine. And you have to cuck to the machine in order to go see them.
Moronic.
Apparently the whole thing with them back in the day with Take the Power Back, you were supposed to do that with harsh words. You didn't You didn't read the fine print. See, I don't get it either, man. I don't get it. I saw him, Morello, all talking about one of the recent fake planned events that, oh, I can't believe you guys are failing us here in America. And it's like, aren't you the guys screaming about know your enemy? And again, I guess harsh words were the way to do it.
Just sad. That broke my heart.
It's the
They had a
worst. It is.
big influence on me when I was younger.
That led you down the path.
Well, yeah, I would read the lyrics and then I'd go look it up and see what they were talking about. And it was just like, wow, we did this to people here in the United States? Holy shit. You know, they taught you about what the government is actually, like the real history of the government.
And yet they're giving you instructions to do it again. So that would be true. Gatekeeping and chilling would be a...
Well, this happened with Pearl Jam, too. That's why I quit listening to them back in the day. They were all about, not, dissident is here. I'll be your dissident. That's fine. And then there was this one song on an album, I think it was their 9th album. And it was something about obey your master, do what you're told, this and that. And they weren't being like sarcastic. It was like mantra type brainwash. I was like, what the? It really upset me.
So maybe it's a 80-20 deception agent, right? The 80-20, where 80%'s good to hook you and to get you on their side and on their team, and then the 20% is there to lead you straight to hell, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, once they get you hooked, you just start whatever they tell you. You start singing along with them. You get your chorus, and hey, I love this band. But you're so brainwashed, you don't even realize what you're singing.
They demonstrate that really well, Zach, when you watch the video for Man on the Moon. And they have everybody in the bar and around just brainwashed singing along with the lyrics with no clue what they're singing. And again, they're demonstrating that you can get people to sing along deadpan, not have a clue.
And words are spells, right?
And be like zombies, like spells. Again, it's a complete... Man on the Moon is a whole... I mean, Man on the Moon was... to me, one of the deepest songs ever written out there, because to me, it's an invitation to the Illuminati. That it's a flat out, if you listen to the lyrics, they sit there and they're asking you, hey, if you believe they put a man on the moon, if you believe there's nothing up their sleeve, and then you'll go into, here's a little Egypt or a little bit of information for the never believer. Here's a little ghost for the offering. Here's a truck stop instead of St. Peter being a way into heaven, the gates to heaven or whatever. Here, hey, we got a way. We got another alternative route. If you can understand, if you see through the lies, you can, here's a little Egypt, here's some information, you want to join us. But to me, it was like a code song saying for the never believers, and that an open invite. Looking into the lyrics, if you look into every set of the lyrics, and even the way it starts off, Mott the Hoopla and the Game of Life, look at the imagery on the Mott the Hoopla album covers, even, and the stamping out of lizards crawling out. The Game of Life, the wrestling match, was all about the Game of Life, heaven and hell, and that. But that song, one of these days, I have a dream, if I can ever learn how to use a computer, to take these songs and take their lyrics and put, again, behind their, like Mott the Hoopla, when they're doing that, what the Mott the Hoopla imagery is and what it stands for, and what they're saying in the songs that people sing along with, and la 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 la, na 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 na. They have no clue. Are you stopping and listening to the lyrics where we get brain dead by them? We get MK Ultra.
Yeah.
Unless you smoke enough pot. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh man, I forgot I had something good.
What about the diving? You were mentioning the diving to bring that up.
Oh yeah, the guys over on Dive Talk. It's kind of about how, there's a big spectrum of how our bodies work. some people do this better than others. Some people, your body can function, but can metabolize toxins better, and you can build these things up. It's like a muscle. The more you flex it, the stronger it gets. Well, this older diver, I think he's 54, he said, 55. He been diving his whole life, and he's the cave diver instructor. Well, there's this new technology out of France where after your dive, you put this sensor on your chest and it measures how much nitrogen bubbles accumulated in your veins.
Wow.
And
So
these one guys, so then after your dive, you can say, well, next time I'm going to add this much, helium to the mix, and it'll give you a percentage of how much safer it would be if you would have done that. Or if you add more decompression time here or here or here.
Is it a device that they're using underwater so they can check not to go up?
No. Okay. It's after your dive, after you get out of the water.
Mm-hmm.
It's this little like hockey puck looking thing, and you just hold it on these certain parts of your chest. You're measuring, there's right underneath your clavicle on the right and left hand side. And they take a bunch of measurements and they send them to France, and then the next day you get them, or a few hours later, maybe something like that, you'll get your results back. And then you can plan your next dive according to that, since we're all different. Well, this one guy, his name's Woody. He's the older guy that's been diving forever. And he says he's part fish. He really does. He goes up and he talks to fish and octopus, and he's a cool guy. He just is. Well, he does not get nitrogen in his blood, like 0%.
Wow.
And it happened one time, and they're like, okay, whatever, this had to be a fluke. They went diving again the next day, and then later on that day, they got the results back, and again, 0% nitrogen bubbles in his blood. And they had like 25% or something like that of the allowed I think it's up to 40% nitrogen or something like that, or 40 points, something like that, you can have before it starts getting real dangerous.
So did his environment change his biology? Is this is this an argument for?
Well, yeah, just
the
more you do something, the more you put your body in these environments, the more they can get acclimated to them even quicker. The more you do something, the easier it gets on your body. It's just like, going to work in a factory after doing a desk job. Yeah. You're tired and sore for like the first 3 weeks, but then you start getting into it, and then it's easy. And then it's no problem. Yeah, it's kind of the same thing.
I would say what you're doing is it's like doing the Chinese splits, like for most of us right now, that if we tried at our age and did it no matter what, we'd kill ourselves doing it. That's like with your legs straight out. But again, if you stretch a little bit every day, most of us, it would probably take us years if we could even get to that point to do the splits again. But do you know what I mean? It was same type of thing. You have to, once, if your muscles are stretched, the same on any of those positions. If they're stretched and you can do it, no problem at all. Your body is conditioned that way. It's, trained.
It adapts. The body adapts.
There was a Norwegian guy who used to do like the sauna competitions, and it was kind of like the guy with the nitrogen in his blood. This guy, for some reason, his body could just move heat away from his skin and sort of radiate it back out. He could just take that heat so much better than everybody else. It was really crazy until he cooked himself alive.
Yeah.
So I was going to say, Josh, what's your superpower?
Oh shit. I think right now my biggest superpower is my ability to keep my mouth shut.
That's a good one. That's a great one. That's awesome.
Yes. What would your name be? We got to come up with a name.
Captain. And I would be the epitome of keeping his mouth shut. It's
Gettin.
cool because I never hear my name being yelled.
Right. That's a great super.
It's one of the strongest superpowers I've ever heard. I mean, because I think of the tater salad comedy thing with Ron White.
Mhm.
Well, they told me I had the right to remain silent, but I didn't have the ability. Sorry, part of a bad comedy skit.
No, it's
Yeah,
absolutely right though.
Oh,
it's
My
absolutely
great
right.
stuff.
and my superpower is not 100%. It's not like I can just turn it on and turn it off at a whim. Sometimes that shit just slips out, and there's nothing I can do about it.
Like the Incredible Hulk.
Kinda. Exactly right. I'm always mad. Right. My superpower is not that I turn into the Incredible Hulk. My superpower is that I can keep myself from always being the Incredible Hulk.
Walt, how about Walt's superpower? Is he there?
That's a good question. I really don't know.
Making smoothies now.
It is now, for sure.
What's your superpower, James?
The smoothies is a good one to go with. I mean, I've been doing that for about 15, 20 years.
Right.
Yeah, I discovered that a long time ago. Just getting one good healthy meal in when you're trying to, not succumb to all the different. I mean, food's one of the hardest things, right, in the matrix, I think, that we deal with in terms of raising our vibration or making our antenna more.
Yes, sir. Definitely a struggle.
That frequency and vibration we've been talking about, you're trying to strengthen that antenna, and sometimes food gets in the way. So the smoothie has helped me to kind of resonate and then figure out a lot of this truth, because my diet kind of led me to seeing through everything, just like the cannabis did as well. But I think it had a lot to do with cleaning up my diet and doing the smoothies and all that.
So we're the same age, you and I, James. You're
Yep.
You a single
77?
guy? You a single guy?
Yep.
I'll take that as a yeah. You were cutting out
still
real
there?
bad. Yeah,
You
we're
broke
still
up.
here.
Yeah.
Was that a yes?
Yep. Hey, Aaron.
Get off your phone. You're eating up the bandwidth.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Hold on a sec. Hey.
His relationship status is garbled.
Yeah.
Right.
Shit, I've been there.
Yes, I know that one.
Yeah. I think we're good now. Yeah, I'm definitely solo. Han Solo.
Han Solo.
Well, except for your buddy, your co-pilot.
Oh, Buddha Boy. Yeah, I got Buddha Boy here with me, and I have friends and other people that help me to provide the medicine. So we're actually moving slowly but surely to create more space and have more people join us here in Evergreen to do some more, healing and plant medicine. Now that that psilocybin is completely legal, we can actually have some ceremonies in that regard, some small, intimate healing sessions with that plant medicine. I'm looking forward to that. We've already done one that went over really well, and it was a new moon ceremony. And so I'm looking forward to more plant medicine ceremonies here in the mountains.
That is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I found out recently that, having spoken to someone who knows a couple attorneys and a couple of police officers, rumor has it here in Missouri, psilocybin's not illegal. Like,
so recreationally you can do it, you just can't distribute, probably, like here in Colorado. Maybe
I'm not. No, I don't even think that's right, because I know a guy that sells the chocolate bars, right up out of his storefront, like at the front door. You can walk in and get them off the shelf behind the counter. Just ask for them, and he'll turn around and grab them and sell them to you.
And these are psychedelic?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's what I said.
Missouri?
Yeah. And apparently
That's-
it's like always been this way. This isn't new legislation. There's just nothing on the books that makes psilocybin specifically illegal.
Huh.
So take that for what it's worth, but I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, they might do something about that.
Yeah, probably will.
If it gets big. I saw a lot of that stuff happening in Indiana when they were doing all the synthetic types of, or even salvia when that came through.
Yeah. Well,
man.
Yeah, but Colorado has gone out of its way to make sure that psilocybin is legal, and Missouri could make that choice just as well. I mean, the psilocybin and natural. It's kind of hard to have it illegal when it grows all over the place.
Yeah. Well, like the cannabis, there's the mushrooms that grow all over this realm, have that information, that energy, frequency, and vibration that can help us get through all the nonsense and to see things for what they are. And we were talking about those different stations and frequencies and bandwidths. I think David Weiss was talking about the different channels, and just they're all there in the same space, and it's just what channel or frequency are you on. And a lot of this plant medicine is there and available for us. And I think in past cultures it was very much a part of the civilization and the culture. And obviously they made that not the case in our experience.
Well, I think they try to make it seem that way.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, cannabis has been illegal in Indiana for longer than I've been born, and still is. And
they try.
Yeah, there is all kinds of people smoking cannabis.
But I'm in reference to, like, when we see on the ancient hieroglyphs and where they're carrying their little satchel, their little bag or purse on the walls, we all think, oh, well, of course they were carrying around all their medicine in that little, basket. You know what I'm referencing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's seen in like lots of hieroglyphs, that basket.
Exactly.
A lot of times the giant creatures, the chimeras, they'll have a bird head or a dog head on a real big body. They'll be carrying them as well. And then they'll have the small humanoid down beneath them carrying one too.
Yeah.
Almost like we got the knowledge from them, like they passed that knowledge down.
You're not going to get a dog head or a bird head unless you have your basket of plant medicine. Right.
But yeah, no, I think they've been trying to make it seem like people have been getting away from, and not just cannabis, but all types of plant medicine. But I bet every small town across the United States has some type of little herbal remedy shop, mom and pop, fixer-upper, elixir store. Maybe not every town. Yeah, at least every county.
Yeah, every county. Every apothecary is probably, I've been to good ones and I've been to ones that are so-so, but the ones here in Colorado I've been pleased with.
In our area, there's at least 2 different stores that are like a local, just a convenience, gas, grab a Coke, run in and out type places. But the owners are, I know one for sure is Vietnamese. I'm not really sure the other's origin, but they have like a whole case filled with teas and little vials of mysterious fluids. And if you know what you're looking for, or they tell them your issue, they can help you find a solution for sure.
And that's the Vietnamese?
The one I know for sure is. I'm not sure about the other one though.
I just found a Russian market, it's called. And it's right down 9, Cammie. Right next to Goodwill.
And they got
herbs. I'm not sure. I was going to go in there, but I was running the neighbor lady around. She was at the doctor, and I was dropping off some stuff at Goodwill, and I just saw it, but I had to get back to go pick her up, so I didn't go in there yet. But yeah, I'm definitely going to go stop in and see what they have in there.
Definitely. No, I was going to tell the other people in the group, James, and that Walt's in Louisiana, so his convenience stores are a little bit different than ours.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. They had the voodoo people down there.
Oh, they have the voodoo.
Oh yeah, if you head towards New Orleans, you can definitely get into some spooky shops, man. Me and Michelle went into one literally, and within 2 seconds we were walking out because the energy was bad. Get out of here
Yep.
now. Oh, it was horrible. So yeah, you have to be careful in New Orleans. Definitely.
Yeah. It's interesting too because things can be charged positively or negatively, right?
Oh yeah, that being said, we found one not too far from there, about 2 streets over, that was great energy. We left with all kind of different teas and
Mm-hmm.
things to carry in your pocket. And, oh yeah, so you got to be careful.
Well, there are
Trust
those
that
that are
gut
out there
feeling.
searching.
That gut feeling is what you got to go
Yeah.
by.
There's those out there searching for that negative, that want that, you know?
Yep.
That's why those shops exist. Yeah, I've never been into anything like that. I've been to a couple shops where, I mean, I could tell they were fronts for something else. But yeah, you just get this weird vibe, you know? When you walk into the shop and everything's from like the early 90s, all their stuff on the shelves, and
Yeah,
it's
we
got
walked
like
into.
half-inch of dust.
I remember we walked into a place on Highway 9, and
It was a vape shop.
it was a vape shop, and they didn't have any tobacco, and they didn't have any. They didn't
Lighter
have any
fluid,
lighter fluid. They didn't have
anything.
anything that would have to do with smoking. And they had almost no. They had like a couple of 90s T-shirts, and it was weird. It was weird. It was
Yeah, as soon as I walked out, I was like, this place is a front for something.
yeah, and there were 3 people, and they definitely, I mean, completely dead. Nobody. I've never seen anybody in the parking lot or that, but yeah, we felt like we were intruding on something else. I mean, they're like, "What? What do you need?" And it's like, "You're a store. We're a vape shop. We're looking for tobacco. Why would we have, you know?" No, we don't do anything like that. It was really. We were like, "Okay, do you know who would?" And they're like, "No." Like, why would a vape shop know where you can get tobacco?
Yeah, like that question was never asked before, you know?
Yeah.
Like it was a totally unrelated business type of thing that people would be going into a vape and pipe shop or whatever and wanting to, know where loose tobacco is. Or even, I mean, they really didn't have vape stuff either. They didn't really have anything.
No, it was very sketchy. Yeah, you can tell when you walk into certain places, just like you get that vibe. Yeah, follow that vibe. So what was your first flat earth? Where'd you hear about it first? And what was your reaction?
I'm assuming you're talking to me.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know everybody else's story.
Right. Let's see. It's interesting because my first rabbit hole was actually water. It was water and health and distilled waters, and that was about 7 years ago or so, give or take. And that led me to the videos online of the very beginning of the Eric Dubays and Matt Powerland and allegedly Dave Murphy and just some of the early guys on YouTube that have been doing it for a while. And so I was up here in the mountains growing medicine, and I had a lot of time to reflect and listen to videos and absorb and kind of figure out a way to free my mind in order to come to a realization that, you know, all these stories that we've been told are just that. So yeah, the first rabbit hole was really water, and I was always interested in health. And then when I started learning about distilled waters and the lies behind that, the covering up of trying to get people to think that distilled water is bad for you, when truly it's one of the best ways to detox. That's how you detox your body, is just by pounding gallons of distilled water.
So you
Hydrostatic
mean
pressure,
So
eight?
anyway,
baby.
You
what's
mean
that?
8 cups of fluoride water is bad for you?
Right? So yeah, so that was how I got to flat earth, was basically just through actually. And then I started listening to them talk about water, like scientists in Russia and Asia and all sorts of stuff. And then Victor Schaubergersen, whatever his name is, the Austrian uh, forester or whatever it is, and him studying water and how water acts under moonlight and in the river and the spirals and the vortex, and just going into all that science. I was just like interested, and we have the information age with our phones, and I was just going down all these amazing rabbit holes, and I was just learning so much. And then just, it took off. With once flat earth hit, I was there in the closet for a couple years, for 2 years or so, and then I started mentioning it, losing friends and family real quick, when I was, just mentioning all sorts of truths, even fluoride, for Christ's sakes, or the distilled water for that matter. You run into a lot of people that want to stay in the tribe, and they don't want you questioning their reality. And it comes, it's a long learned lesson where you finally come to terms with, okay, this is my journey, and it's definitely not theirs.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I love them, but I can't save them. You can't.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
can't. It's a whole old, lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. It's the same thing. I've
yeah.
showed them.
And that
I've
was like,
showed them till it hurts, and I
yeah, that
can't
was,
do it anymore. This is my journey, and they're not going to be coming with me. I have to. Yeah, you have to accept
yeah,
that.
People
yeah,
forget though. People forget we want to make our own choices, but we also want to make choices for the other people as well, because that's the natural thing. So with them, a lot of the times they say, again, they have to make their own choice into it. It can't be yours. We shouldn't be
yeah.
surprised on that.
Yeah, and I heard a great analogy where someone talks about, the village. When someone is stepping outside the village is going to ostracize and black sheep that person, because the person that's going outside, it's kind of a reflection on the people, saying like, well, why are, they tend to say, well, what's wrong with us and our customs and our culture? Why are you going outside of this? And so they're obviously going to take offense. For the most part, it's just going to be a natural reaction. um, and it took a while to understand that and overstand that, but once you get it, right?
Once you
Yeah.
see
Well,
it, you can't unsee it.
and I think a lot of it is, well, especially as you find things that you feel need to be shared, and you try that with friends and family and people who, should know you and trust your path, I guess. I think it's not as much. Well, I'm sure that's part of it. Get back in here. What are you thinking of the tribe idea? But I think a lot of it
Yeah,
is that you suddenly pulled that scab off that little truth bump that they've also got going on, that they've been itching and trying to figure out, well, why is this a problem in my head? Why am I doubting my whole structure, my whole life, whatever? And suddenly there you are, you've pulled the scab off and are freely bleeding that crap out, and they're still kind of just picking at it, and they're not really sure if they want to pull it off or not. And so I think that's a big part of it.
agreed.
Yeah, it's hard. It really is. And like we always say, these are like therapy sessions. It's great to be able to just get this stuff off your chest every once in a while, because it's not something that's like unique to any one of us. I mean, when you try to tell people that everything they believe is backwards, you know, you don't get a good reaction, no matter what that belief is.
Yep. And one of the sayings that I like to say is that, I am juggling various realities, and I like to juggle different realities. And, to me, that's a very common sense thing to say, knowing what we know in the truth community, but I don't know how it sounds to a normie.
Yeah, it's almost like we speak a different language, which is neat in a way.
Yeah, like if I were to just, to the normal average, you go up and say, yeah, I'm juggling 5, 6 different realities. Usually most people would say, well, that's called crazy. you know? And so, but I think that it's necessary to make sure that you're not attached with the reality, what you think you know, i.e. your ego, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's what keeps people in that same mindset without, the ability to just entertain an idea that goes against what you believe. Not believe it, not give it credit, but just even entertain it. People have big issues doing that, taking that first step. And that's that ego.
Yeah, there's the quote, the mark of an intelligent man is the ability to entertain a thought without accepting it. Something like that. The mark of an intelligent man is to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. So just a thought experiment. A thought experiment. And we should all be able to have thought experiments without getting butt hurt.
Well, yeah, that's one of my things. I always try to not just see it through the person's eyes on the moment they did it, but think about what kind of life they could have had that led up to that moment. And there's no way to know what their life actually was, because you could look at somebody and see things happen to them in their life, and they can see it a totally different way.
Yeah.
So it's impossible to judge anybody accurately, in my opinion, except for yourself. You're the only person you can do that to.
And perspective, and you're constantly changing your perspective, hopefully. So you're constantly changing your judgments, hopefully, too, if you're growing and evolving.
I call it choosing your reality. Each choice you make is choosing the reality and how you want to. You get faced with something, it can be bad or good, but how do I react to this? And again, it's your choice how to react to any of the things. You can't always stop good and bad from happening, but you can change your reactions with energy, with intention, with focus, and with light. With that said, Liz put a reminder in there that Mark Devlin is having a mass meditation. When is this? We find this
12/12.
12/12 at 12, I think.
UK time.
UK
12,
time.
21.
There it is. Remind everybody that Mark Devlin's mass meditation prayer is coming on Sunday the 12th at noon UK time. That a lot of studies have been done. Meditation can change and does change the world and the energy. So I encourage everybody to join in on that one. Why not try every bit of energy we can give? With that said, Zach, who didn't do superhero? What is your superhero, Zach?
I am super at being just a little above average at a lot of things. I'm a jack of all trades. That's what I would say.
I like it.
Master of nothing, but jack of many things.
That makes sense.
We'll call it seeing the bigger picture.
Oh, that's a
good superhero.
Yeah, they used to say that's the Renaissance man, right? They can do a little bit of everything.
And they've taught us away from
Great
that
movie.
for a reason. Yeah.
What movie?
Renaissance man. Danny DeVito teaching a bunch of military misfits who needed to get their GEDs or whatever they something they needed to get better test scores. So he went and taught them how to use their brains. Yeah.
Old school Danny DeVito was pretty good sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Then he started It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and it's just been
That's gravy.
yeah,
Yeah.
that guy. He's starting to show his age. I just watched the first episode of the newest season.
Oh, okay.
And he started it with white hair, and it was all about how he wanted to start a new hair thing.
Hair clinic for men.
Yeah, just for dyeing your hair. He wanted to make a new hair dye.
This is off topic, but with getting old, and it cracked me up. But I don't know if anybody else has seen the memes going around. And what it is it's Keith Richards and a baby and a guitar. And it says Keith Richards teaching blank how to play guitar, and people are putting in Betty White and Willie Nelson and George Washington or whatever on it. But I didn't realize. So I was like, really, with Willie Nelson, and I didn't realize that Willie Nelson was 11 years older than Keith Richards. That caught me by surprise. I would have guessed it the other way around.
Well, that proves the power of cannabis right there.
Well, yeah, Keith Richards has looked like he was dead since. Well, I saw him in '98, and he looked like he was dead back then.
Well, I'm talking about Willie Nelson being with his longevity and just
yeah,
on point for so long. I mean, he's the
and Keith Richards shows you what drugs, real drugs do to you.
Well, you said
cocaine and heroin and all these,
You said he's on infusion therapy like every week or whatever because everything is shutting down. Is that right, Zach? And
yeah, he gets blood transfusions all the time.
Yep, that's that oil change that they would go and get where they would oxygenate their blood and do ozone therapy. I think it's called
something like that. Yeah, he's all messed up.
Anyway, in case anybody is curious, Keith Richards is 77 and Willie Nelson is 88.
Oh, wow.
Did you guys hear Alex Michaels' new song put out today?
I didn't.
No.
So awesome. It's a Bob Dylan rendition. Sounds just like young Bob. And it's all about him selling his soul to the devil. He does. He sings a verse, and then he shows the interview where Bob Dylan says exactly what he's talking about in that verse. Then he sings another verse, then shows a part in the interview where Bob Dylan is talking about that verse.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's like 4 or 5.
You're gonna have to send
verses long. Yeah, it's so good.
Wow.
I don't know if he would mind if we played it. I don't think so. It's not like we make tons of money off this stuff anyway.
Nah, he wouldn't mind at all. I mean, he'd be flattered, and if he was around, he'd jump on. He's so nice, Alex, down to earth and that. Love him. Wish we weren't so far away.
Yeah, he's been really enjoying the Melodome. He did a new song for the Melodome. They're opening, which is pretty awesome. That guy is so talented. He's just, any type of genre, any type of, even the accents, he can like mimic anyone. Just amazing. So talented, that guy.
And he plays the acoustic and sings primarily.
He does the drums, the acoustics. He does electric guitar lead. He does he plays harmonica and the guitar at the same time in this one.
He's full on talented. He's got a whole studio, all of the instruments, and really musically, I don't know if there's anything he can't do.
Yeah,
I think it's
I dropped that
in what he wants to do.
In the pre-show there, Josh. If you could.
But
pull
yeah,
that
if you
up.
want to pull that up and play that, Alex is always a treat.
Yeah, and he did that one song about the vax, and he did it from a point of view of like Big Pharma, telling people to kind of do it, but in like a sarcastic way, and it didn't get struck down. you know?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Because of the way,
he's
the way he
Putting it out
the
through
way he went
satire.
about it. Yeah.
Gotta
the
find
way
good
he
ways to get
words
out
it.
there.
Yeah, it's all about the wording and saying things in a certain way. And he's a very smart man. Just a lyrical
Machine.
Yeah. Can say it in a way, to be nice about it, to be sarcastic, to be rude. I mean, anything you want, that guy will come up with that perfect line to go in there. Yeah, he's a great addition to the flat
Better
Earth
if I played
community.
it, Josh.
Do what?
We are lucky to have him. He's truly an artist, and an artist of, again, as good as it gets as far as I'm concerned. In the other, I mean, he is somebody that could make it to the top of the charts in many, like in jazz and country, and again, he's just talented and he has that it. And we are blessed to have somebody like that in the community. And not only does he have that it, and is he completely hardworking and talented, but he's humble and he's decent and he's good. So
Is
you
he
put
the
it
one?
all
Yeah.
together.
Is he the one at Flytoberfest that was making fun of Dave Weiss?
No. He was at the very first Flattoberfest, I believe.
No,
Or
he
no.
only no. He only came.
He just came
he was
to
at the
Denver.
Denver. He came to the
That's
Denver
right.
because he came from Spain. But
Yeah.
he's the one that does all of the you've heard his different Flat Earth Man, the entire Flat Earth Man album.
Yeah.
Okay, so you are familiar with who he is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. He was making fun of Dave. There was a thing. They did
a clip. Oh, they did a clip
the
of it.
clip.
Yeah. Oh, the
the
clip.
money,
Yeah,
money,
definitely.
money, money, money,
Money.
Yeah, money.
Definitely. Yeah,
That
that's
was
him.
great.
I was sitting there watching Dave like crack up. Like,
I wish we could have had a camera on Dave's wife, Paige.
yeah,
I know,
she
that
was
was
dying laughing so hard.
Yeah, no, when I say humble and nice and good,
yeah,
having a wicked sense of humor to me is all of those yummy things incorporated in. I don't mean that he's pure and he's innocent and he's that. I just mean he's fucking awesome.
Yeah. No, he's awesome for sure.
All right.
So this is brand new.
Yep.
Well, I sold my soul to the devil. I sold it for fortune and for fame. Well, I'm starting to regret my decision. I wish I had my soul back again.
Why do you still do it? Why are you still out here? Well, it goes back to the destiny thing. I made a good bargain with it, long time ago, and I'm holding up my hand.
Well, I sold it to the chief commander. In this world, and a world we just don't see. Well, I'm keeping up my end of the bargain. And this will be my destiny. Yes, I sold my soul to the devil. I sold it for fortune and for fame. Well, I'm starting to regret my decision. I wish I had my soul back again.
What was your bargain to get where I am now? Should I ask who you made the bargain with? with the chief commander. On this earth? And this earth, and then in the world we can't see.
Well, the devil gave me things I'd always dreamed of. In fact, that dude wrote all of my songs. They were magically crafted from the darkest of realms. The wizard makes you blindly sing along. So sing along, 'cause I sold my soul to the devil. I sold it for fortune and for fame. Well, I'm starting to regret my decision. I wish I had my soul back again.
Try to sit down and write something like that. There's a magic to that, and it's not Siegfried and Roy kind of magic. You know, it's a different kind of penetrating magic.
Well, I wish I never went to those crossroads to make a deal that got me where I am. Look into my eyes, you can see I'm dead inside. My soul is gone and I'm a broken man. 'Cause I sold my soul to the devil. I sold it for fortune and for fame. Yeah, I'm starting to regret my decision. Yeah, I wish I had my soul back again.
That's when I went to the crossroads and made that big deal. You know, like, one night, and then went back to Minneapolis and I was like, hey, where's this guy been? You know, he'd been to the crossroads.
Well, I lost the only thing that matters. I'm so empty and so torn, can't you tell? So, Lord, I ask you for forgiveness, 'cause I don't want to end up in hell. 'Cause I sold my soul to the devil. I sold it for fortune and for fame. Well, I'm starting to regret my decision. I wish I had my soul back again.
That is great.
Is that not awesome?
Over the
Yeah, that's
top.
very, very awesome.
Tell me where you can again turn on any like country station or folk station or whatever and hear a better level or quality than that. I mean, he's amazing. We are so lucky.
Yeah, that was on point. He was beautiful. And that was pretty scary too.
Yeah, listening to
Heavy.
Bob talk like that.
Oh man. Yeah. I can't even imagine.
And imagine that, folks, his last name is not really Dylan. I wonder if he left Robert Zimmerman and came back Bob Dylan. Because they said he left at a very young age. I mean, he put his first album out, I think, at 16. And he left home at 14, something like that, to go working on farms throughout the Midwest and down south. I don't know. I don't know if any of it's true.
Not my son.
So,
Then he came.
James, can we talk a little bit about Growin?
Yeah.
This thing that has become near and dear to my heart.
Of course. Ask away. Any questions you have, I can answer. Most likely, I've been doing it for 10 years, full time. Sweet.
Okay. So, describe for me your first grow setup.
So this is South Broadway, Cherokee. This is in Denver. It's a house with a basement, and the house with the first grow partner was pretty tiny. We had to turn sideways to pass each other in the hallway on the way to the bathroom, and the basement downstairs, I was hitting my head. I'm 6'4", so I was hitting my head all over the place in the basement. It was pretty sad. So we were there maybe, I want to say, a year, and then we moved up to Evergreen. So we moved up to Clear Creek County, and above the lake in Evergreen. which is just a mountain town here in Colorado. So the first one was it was a huge learning curve. Like, you do things wrong, and slowly but surely for me, it was getting relationships with other growers that had been doing it longer than I had, and hanging out on the phone with them late nights, talking while we were both working in our own respective spaces, and just kind of bouncing, stuff back and forth, any questions, and so that's where, and that was, 3 or 4 different individuals along the way. But just learning from people that have, already, done it. And so, yeah, I just started from the bottom.
And did you just throw some seeds in the dirt and see what would happen? Or you said you had a grow partner, somebody that knew what was going on. So
he led on a little bit more, that he knew more than he actually did. I kind of figured, along the way that he was learning as we were learning together. But yeah, he had some prior knowledge. He had been around it a little bit more from where he had come from, and he had seen North Carolina. He'd seen some grows in North Carolina and Florida, and so he had some experience, but nothing like that we got into. And then we continued to just grow and grow and grow, because we were determined.
That's the way you almost have to be, really.
Yes.
Because it's like sort of like trying to break into acting, right? You have to learn to take rejection, and it's just sort of the same thing. I think with growing is you have to learn to fail and be okay with it. And if you're determined, then you'll start that next grow thinking, all right, what have I learned? What can I do different? And a lot of people be like, all right, well, I tried 3 times and it wasted 18 months. I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah. Well, if I were to say like 101, growing 101, it's to figure out the room that you're in and the space that you have, because every room is kind of different. And when you dial in a room, that means you're getting the airflow, the temperature, the CO2, the lighting, the height of the lighting, the spacing. There's a lot of things to dial in a room, to make sure that the plants are really happy. You're making an artificial environment. You're making it, indoor, and you're trying to make them happy because they know what they're
Some
doing.
good energy, yeah.
Yeah, the plants know that they're there for medicine, and they're going to respond, and they'll respond to you with the water and with the talking and with the music, the 432 hertz. I used to always, and still do, only play 432 hertz, and play a lot of reggae and bob and Hempress Sativa. I like her, and some other.
Do you know who else plays in 432 hertz? White Flat Earth Man, Alex.
Oh, amazing! Right.
Yeah.
And that was Bach and Mozart and Beethoven and all the, they originally they knew this
before they hexed the music. Yeah.
And well, no, they did it in 432 hertz, and then it was the Rockefeller, I guess, that changed it on the radio waves to 440 to create the frequency that wasn't as harmonious, right?
Right. Did a hexadyne or whatever we call it, hexing it, or they cast a spell on the music. Pretty simple as that. So I have a question for you, because you're making me a little bit homesick being a Colorado girl. You said you were at South Broadway in Cherokee, but as a Colorado girl, I know that those 2 streets are in parallel.
Yeah. So so there was Cherokee, which is parallel to Broadway, and we were down by South Broadway when all the states, there's a bunch of states, and
Arkansas, Iowa, and that towards Englewood, really close to the Englewood border there, the old Englewood border.
Yeah, and it was basically just saying we were in a house in the hood, basically.
Right.
In Denver.
Yeah, I was just getting a piece of where you were, because that was a stretch of parallel road, and it's like, okay, I just want to see where you are. You still weren't too far from a really good Philly cheesesteak place, but it probably wasn't there that many years ago. It's hard to say.
Right. Right. Yeah. So started, in the hood, South Broadway in Denver. And then as soon as we could get up into the mountains or just get into anything bigger, we were looking on Craigslist and found something, and we came up here and we fell in love immediately with just the mountains. And I had been doing the city life in Denver for a while, and it was a blessing to find the mountains.
Boy, I bet. I bet it just.
They're beautiful. You have to like snow there where he is. You have to really like snow and cold, because where he is in Evergreen, they have 7 to 8 months of winter. Beautiful
Yes.
summers. You don't really get a spring or a fall. It's like one or the other.
Well, this year there was a long fall. Like the winter, we just got snow last night.
I know, but
and
this has been a freak year this year. This has been a total freak year.
100%. And well, what's interesting, and going back to the growing, Josh, what's interesting is where we are here at 7,500 feet, and where my first original grow in the mountains was, that was at 8,500 feet roughly. So, and so what you have is you have free air conditioning year round, whether it's summer or winter or fall or spring. Because the lights come on at night. That's when you're running the lights, and that's when the cold air is coming through the vents, and that's your free air conditioning to basically offset the heat that the lights are putting out. That's the biggest cost sometimes, is running an air conditioning unit to cool your room down so your plants aren't uncomfortable. And so the mountain air and altitude is a adversary when you're growing indoors, when you can bring in free air conditioning in the evening.
Doesn't those seem like some, some pretty big temperature swings?
Yeah, sometimes you do have to deal with that. So you'll have to adjust fans and the speeds of the fans going through the lights or coming into the room, and turn on and off heaters or air conditioning. So, just different little units accordingly, depending. So yeah, it's sometimes finicky that way. Or you can seal a room completely and just get a mini split and have an actual AC unit running in there and seal the room, and it's completely sealed. I have one of those rooms. And then you can control your CO2. You can really bring the CO2 up in that room that's fully sealed off. And I have a fuzzy logic, which monitors the CO2, and I can really dial in how much CO2 the girls are getting at during the 2-month flowering stage.
And then, just for the record, where exactly do you place your CO2 so that it gets to the girls?
It flows down. It's heavier, and so it would flow like downstream, if you will. So you basically run a tube with little holes on the top of your we just run it around the lights and just kind of weave it in and out of the lights, and it flows down kind of onto the plants.
Does it go boom boom?
No,
You'd like to crack up.
The CO2, no, the CO2, the girls suck. You know what's funny? What I realized, I used to go to Florida and drive from Orlando and like Daytona up to St. Augustine, and there's this highway that's like 5, 6, 7 lanes on each side. It's just giant, and it's going, along the coast. It's going, up Florida, north, south, and there's just a wall of green because there's water and CO2, and it was just a jungle so thick that like you realize, like, if you didn't want to walk in there because God knows what was in that thick foliage, and it was just a wall literally 30 feet high, and it goes forever. And I realized that this CO2 thing is really good for the plants as long as you have plenty of water and dirt. So it's interesting. Yeah, with growing, you definitely buy CO2 and you bring in CO2 into your room, and the plants love it, need it up, and it helps with production.
And it shows you right there that just talking to your plants helps your plants.
Yep.
you know, physically, not just with your intent and things like that, but physically, you're exhaling CO2 right to the plant and they just suck it right up.
Mm-hmm.
Symbiotic, yeah, the symbiotic nature there. And then we're taking in the oxygen that they're putting out.
So, do you remember what your total weight was off your first grow?
Down in the basement there, it was, maybe like a couple pounds, not anything, because we're just learning and getting going in the space and having the veg and the flower all in the same, space and walled off and tents and all sorts of nonsense. Yeah, you need a lot of organization, logistics, and a little bit of space, to dial in a room, and you got to pre-plan it and think about it, and in order to make sure that you're not tripping over things and that the plants are happy. But yeah, back to Zach, what he was saying, 100%, the frequency and vibration, and that goes back to like the the voice, how the voice over the waters created form, and the voice and all that, and just picking up the vibrations, not just the CO2 that we're exhaling and that they're taking in, but the frequency and the vibrations from our voice. And so if you were to sing to them or whatever, they're feeling that, interacting with that, and those vibrations and frequencies they're picking up. So we recommend, singing.
Are you familiar with Cleve Baxter or any of his experiments?
No, is it like a frequency with sound?
He's got a plant that now takes up his whole room that and is like 50 years older. That he did experiments a long time ago, where he hooked plants up to lie detector equipment and was getting responses to them that, like, if he threatened to had a lighter in his hand and threatened to burn the plant would react to what was going on and different things like that. So he actually tested the feelings and that how plants react to us, and even our thought of I'm going to hurt you or I'm going to burn you, and at what point it takes it. In fact, and he fell in love with the plant so much that he couldn't hurt this plant anymore, and it's taken over. This plant loves him so much. This whole lab is now a plant. I mean, literally, it's like a jungle in his office from this original plant years ago. But you should look into his work with it and the
Clay
thoughts and the
Baxter?
inner Cleve. It's Cleve, Baxter, Baxter. And he's got all kinds of scientific works, again, hooking up plants to polygraph machines. Very, very fascinating. I found that they react to humans. They react to humans and human energy most in the room. But if you didn't, like, he did other experiments that were interesting too, like with brine shrimp, that he would get ready to boil brine shrimp, and the plants would sense that the brine shrimp were upset and get upset about it too and react. But if people were in the room, all of a sudden the plant didn't care about the what was going on with the briny shrimp or whatever at all. All they cared about was the human. It's like, their attention. They had nothing else to look at, so they looked at the little briny shrimp and they reacted to it. But when people came in the room and you had the same type of thing, it had no influence on them whatsoever. And so it's like they pay attention, like when you're saying making happy surroundings. Look at the plant that took up his happy plant that took over it. But people don't understand the science and how much, you're right, Zach, when you talk to them, you're exhaling carbon dioxide, you're giving them food, energy, what they need to grow.
Love, interaction.
And interaction, and they're picking up energy anyway from other things and that, but it's like dogs or pets or anything else. Our energy, our magnetic field is strong, and so they care about what we're thinking. I mean, we take over their world. Your plants love you and adore you in a way if you look at how they react to other things when you walk in the room. Remember that when you're out in your yard. And I love it. I love having Zach here because when he prunes, he apologizes and says this is for your own good and for the health of things. And he doesn't like pulling. And there's so much love going on. And I think it does. It affects the energy of my surroundings so much. And I need it. I need that so bad in these times where people are trying to poison the world around you. But intentions are everything, and you grow in with that. I want to actually try your products just because I think there would be so much of a healing quality in something that happy environment was put into again. And again, it takes
Yeah,
you
the
back.
space,
Mm-hmm.
the space. Yeah, creating that space. I mean, that's how the gurus or the shamans, they talk about holding space and creating space and making sure that your space is, whether you're using Palo Santo or saging your space, or whether you're just doing the intent and doing
It's blessed or blessed. I mean,
the
yes.
prayers. Yeah, they do the prayers to the four directions, north, south, east, west, and all that. I like Ralph Smart, and I've been following him for years and years and years and years and years. And he talks about how we ourselves have to get out in nature, and we have to be out in nature every day as much as possible. And
Yes.
just being out there, the plants, they release chemicals, and there's all this, this spectrum that we're not seeing and we're not aware of. But when you're out there sitting in it and spending time with it, whether it's a walk, whether it's just
or a little help from DMT. Go ahead.
yes, whether it's a microdose or just some cannabis. I mean, as you're experiencing nature, when you're out there, you're getting all these downloads, and you don't realize how
they're
much
happening.
how much it's really affecting us, and how much then we are able to then go and bring nature into, unfortunately, the nonsense matrix, to try to, like you were saying, balance or fight those other energies.
Right, and we need to be outside as much as we can, and the energies and that you're attributing plants, and I know that they have, for anybody that's followed my work, including like even the rocks cry out. Rocks also, crystals grow. They have their own minerals, all solids grow, and they have their own structure and energy to it, and they retain memories. So
That reminds
you can go in total awe over it watching the rocks grow.
That reminds me of the theory of the silica-based trees, that this used to be a silica-based realm and all that jazz. I love that, going down those rabbit holes and that new information.
It's a beautiful, beautiful different ways of rabbit holes to go down to. If you look at what silica is, or ground up silica, it's just ground up quartz. So we make it. They're just saying that they were quartz trees then. If you go down, there's some caves. There's the deepest, like largest crystal cave. You can watch it in a YouTube video. And if I was at a computer, I would try to pull it up.
It's in Ohio.
In Ohio?
No, that's the biggest celestite. That's the biggest celestite cavern.
Okay.
But there's an underground thing that has and you see people, and they're like little toy people next to these giant crystals. I think they're quartz crystals. They're like way underground, 300 and something feet underground, and you go down there and it's hot. Do you know what I'm talking?
Yeah,
it's super
like
hot.
120 degrees in there
at
all times.
Where is this?
It's like Mexico or South America or somewhere. I know I'm giving a huge thing, or somewhere in Central America, not South America, maybe Central America more so than South America. So either Lower Mexico or Central America or something like that, but in a very exotic. Again, people there, they closed it off. They said to let, because they're all still growing. They're doing it, but they're like some of the biggest crystals that are bigger than, like when you're looking at the pillars and the ruins of Rome, or that these crystals are bigger than that compared to the people lying all over this huge underground thing you
Tamarind.
taste in it. So it's going to be different. When you say celestite is the biggest one crystal, like a celestite crystal, it's the biggest that you can walk into a geode. So that is your largest like geode that you can walk into is in Ohio. And that is celestite, which you guys know is that pretty blue rock. It's also the stuff that they grind it and make all of the fireworks. It just like when you grind quartz, you get silica. When you grind a celestite, you get the strontium titanate and all the stuff they put into fireworks and glow bracelets and things that
Okay.
light up.
Hmm.
Rocks are fascinating, but again, keep in mind plants are alive and rocks very much. They're not
So
maybe
are
alive like we
the
are, but I wouldn't roll out. I wouldn't call them not alive or not growing or not. They sense something.
Mhm. Well, then I like the example of the quartz radio. And if a quartz radio, like that's that old science experiment back in the day where someone has a quartz and they make a radio, and I guess what's happening is the quartz is picking up the stations, the frequencies, the vibrations, and somehow it has a property to then channel it through and then play it. I'm not sure. I never did that. Wasn't my science experiment, but that any of you guys ever known exactly how the quartz radio works? Where it's actually running off of a quartz crystal?
My husband would be able to get on there and tell us, and Zach might be able to tell you the exact specifics, but I can tell you, like as a gemologist, that you separate crystals and minerals by their properties. And when you think properties, things that make it different. But when you think about the things that make them different, you think what the properties are. How well do they conduct electricity? How well do they conduct magnetism?
Mhm.
Do they fluoresce? How do they react at temperatures? How do they align things up? And again, are they conductors or insulators, or what are their properties? And each mineral has really got a unique. The silver is, you guys were talking about it on the other morning show when I was applauding Zach while laying in bed. Silver is the best conductor of
Mhm.
electricity. So yay for the A team. You were right on, Zach. And gold, they do cap up the stuff with gold because gold holds to corrosion better. In other words, it blocks corrosion, and so you block for corrosion with the gold tips. And that was also 2 points for Zach taking a stab and getting it exactly right on. And in nature, there grows a mineral that's like gold and silver mixed together. So you have something that can do the conductivity, electrical of silver, and magnetically, which is different of gold, and the different again each or thermal of gold. Each one has got why gold does a really good thermal conductivity, silver does a better electrical conductivity. That's what properties are. So anytime you think rocks and minerals and crystals, that's what they are. Is each one has got a specialized property. Your quartz is in that arrangement with lattice and that you create things like your piezoelectricity, and it's got it's got a neat arrangement that it can conduct and do a lot of things.
Mhm.
So why it would transist and do it, Bob would tell you the exact mechanics on it, but I can tell you that just with the setup of the lattice structure, it aligns energy in a very focused way. It culminates it. And
Well,
it's
I
going to
know
bring your signal and focus it.
even the atomic clocks have a
Those
type
use
of quartz in them.
Okay.
cesium. They
Yeah.
use cesium in the cesium, which is a faster pulse rate and a slower decay, or how they'll say it. But yeah, it's on the same type of thing though. It's like your tuning fork and your vibrations, and that it's got built-in mathematics and tuning to it.
Well, and then all the pocket watches, the old school pocket watches. I have my grandfather's pocket watch, and it's got however many
Jewels.
jewels
Yeah.
exactly, right?
Right. Yeah, no, we've done this for a long time. We teach ourselves out of all of it. We teach ourselves out of time by making a 12-hour clock instead of a 24-hour clock. And we make everything plastic and shiny and grow, and then say the raw materials are so rough and everything. But again, it's just how we're arranging the raw materials and utilizing the properties that exist. And so when you look at the huge stone structures of the past and how they seem to have built things, and you look at how we utilize it's like we utilize by not using energy naturally and by destructive methods, and I think we come up with very sloppy results. But if you focus energy correctly that's already out there, you can, I think, come up with results a lot more efficiently and easier. Do things that we can't do right now. But again, they tie us down as energy slaves. So if you take away, you give us free energy, you give us freedom, and I don't think that's in the cards right now.
Oh, hopefully soon
Hopefully soon.
we'll change that. Have you
Time to
guys
wake up.
have you guys heard about the Firestone or Flintstone that they used to line the wells and the aqueducts of the past, like Tatarian structures, and what it did is made the waters crystal clear. And that fire or Flintstone is the same stone that you would like hit it and it would spark. And someone said it was one of these guys that was doing some ancient Tataria. I want to say not Paul Cook, but maybe another kid. And he was talking about how wells were all lined with it. And you'll find these stones wherever there were power stations where the water was flowing, or any of the aqueducts or any of the waterworks that existed from the old world. They had lined him with this flintstone or firestone, which purified the water and made it crystal clear.
Okay, we're going to get into that. That's exactly like what I was saying as far as more elegant, where we make it more messy, and even again with the way we set up energy to get around it. The thing about that is they lined it with that, and that keeps the water crystal clear forever. It's elegant. It's pure. You don't have to add fluoride. You don't have to add chlorine. You don't have to do the chemicals. Do all the slave labor to get to it. Once you line it, it's done. And
what's going on there? What's the property in the fire Flintstone?
It's gonna be a purifier, just the same as when you run a Berkey and run it over, the carbon in that. It's a natural purifier. The reason that you don't see more of it or doing more of it is the reason that they've had the technology to make light bulbs that last forever, and all the big bulb manufacturers sign something that they get fines if things last over 3,000 hours, because we're in a huge fines. We're in a capitalistic society that you need a renewal. You need a product to sell. You can't sell anything or do anything that lasts and is good forever and doesn't use up the resources. That's not, that brings no profit. There's no profit in that. There is no your sales next year aren't gonna, how are you gonna top your sales next year is once people have got that filter. Once they line that wall, once they put that in our natural stuff, you're all done with it. This is how we're held in slavery, and how messy is they've got us. This is what I would call true Satanism, or true destroying us, is they have us destroying the earth and destroying ourselves by doing things like adding fluoride and chlorine and all these chemicals to water in the name of water safety, instead of doing methods that have been around timeless and would do it cleaner but don't have any profit involved. Making light bulbs that go out after that, intentionally making products that have a life to them, but again for replacement purposes. With vaccines, what they were writing about on the vaccines when it first came out on the financial pages, and I talked about this on the vaccines, they were worried that the vaccines might work too well and people wouldn't need boosters and the sales would go down. They're not even looking for what they're even fake doing. They're not even looking for any kind of insight into, in solution, because that's not how people have got money invested. You've got money invested, and you've got the whole thing set up for us. So with these things in your lining, that technology, it's there, it's in our rocks, it's simple. We make us feel all too stupid to understand how anything works. They've made it that now we can't. What was that game that could you build like 2 products in your house, or there's something like that I can hand you anything, a dishwasher. Again, nobody can make anything or do anything anymore because that's what they've done to us. I'll quit my rant. That was really quite the rant. Back to
creating
your
creating dependency, and they're doing it through low frequency and low vibrational
there.
um,
It's
systems, and yeah, and those are the systems that we know, and the systems we're fighting against, and the systems
truly
that,
evil.
well, we're here to work to change those systems and make sure that people don't continue to go along to get along, as as many as we can. And I don't know how what is it, the 100th or whatever monkey, when that's gonna pop.
Hopefully soon.
And
Hopefully, and again, your shop's going to make a big difference on things like that. Again, the intention out there.
yeah, because it's a vibration frequency spiritual war. So more frequency that we put into it, the right frequencies, the right energy, the right vibration, I mean, then then most people are usually good, regardless of how fluoridated and asleep and zombified they may be going along to get along or burying their head in the sand. But most people are inherently have a soul, and they haven't given it away. And so there's potentially hope to change their frequency and their vibration, if by chance um we can expose them to enough of that. And I think a lot of it's going to also come down to um, music. Interestingly enough, I think the music is going to change, and there's going to be a new. Um, I think music has a big part of it. It's going to be. I think it already is, and it's starting to be. You could tell all the stuff out there when you're just scrolling, all the different, like, oh, meditation for this frequency, that frequency, et cetera, et cetera. But I think the vibration and the sounds that we can get out there, because I think again, we've been under a lot of toxic attack without even knowing it, and it's a frequency, radiation, vibrational attack, if you will. And so, yeah, that's my rant.
Well, your musicians are. I should. My rant was over for the night, so I should shut up. So I will after this. But your musicians are some of your true artists out there that would. When I say channel, I say we, like, again, as bodies, we channel energies and thoughts and that from out there. Your artists really, your musicians really channel this energy and turn around and put it out in music, and then it
Mhm.
turn around and effects. And so leading the way, that also makes sense with music, that it would lead the way and set the tone of it. So let's watch where the music is going and be careful about it.
Yeah, hopefully there's enough intent from enough artists that step forward.
Put good stuff out there. I noticed that, um, like Austin and Kai, Apple Juice and Sunshine. I'm loving it. It's like put good stuff out there, put as much good stuff and feel good to counteract some of the negative. And it looks like we are going there.
Yeah, I wish there were more. This is really to show how mainstream musicians are bought and sold. Because there's so many of them that aren't talking about any of the stuff going on. There's a
Right.
few, but there's not enough.
Mm-hmm.
At least in my opinion. It's like, where are all the musicians? Remember the '60s? I don't, but I remember them. I can go listen to the music from then, and they were really a lot more into the whole um, speaking their minds and it
Yeah,
going out.
delivering a message in the music.
hmm You don't see that anymore.
And it's controlled. But I think all these new platforms and all these the younger generation are realizing that they don't need the old record labels and all those, all the old infrastructure. I think that's, with the new technology, I mean, you can become a star and just be playing on the street and have an iPhone and get get your good vibes out there. You know, you see it every once in a while when you're scrolling and you're watching a video, and then you have one of these people that are just going out there spreading love, and they just have a guitar and they're playing music with people. I don't know his name, but there's a couple different, you know, guys that I've watched that's their stick or that's their gig, and it's good vibes. You know, they're just going out there and they're just playing music, and they're getting popular, and they're getting huge channels and enough of a following because they're just good musicians, and they're going out on the street and doing a lot of activism. So
yeah, it's
more
different than
stuff.
it used to be.
Yeah,
It used to be you couldn't do that and not make a living off of it.
Mm-hmm.
And now with social media, people can't. Having talent means something again.
Yeah, there's a girl that I used to listen to, and I think she's mainstream now because she was on Oprah. But I used to listen to her a long time ago. Her name was Ali something or whatever, and she was in Dublin, Ireland, and she used to just go out and, you know, be a cover. She just had her guitar and would sing and do cover songs and you know, became famous that way. So
Awesome.
So there's platforms, and I think there's going to be more and more platforms that are alternative. Hopefully, that's where we're hopefully going.
Yeah, it's all kind of happening at the same time.
Is Walter Josh musical? Do they play any instrument? Are you guys going to start a band?
Walter does.
Yeah, man, I play guitar and I sing.
He can wail.
I don't know about all that, but I dabble.
Yeah, are you playing, what's your genre?
Well, I've been at guitar a minute, so I tend to head towards more technically proficient players. I've been working on a lot of Mark Tremonti's style, legato, and trying to get down some of that. A lot of his heavier, crazier stuff that I couldn't play 5 years ago. Now I kind of can, so I'm working on that.
Wow.
I mean, I like all kinds of stuff, as you guys here on the show should know. I'll throw you some bluegrass. I'll throw you some jazz. I love it all. But when I play guitar, it's usually going to be something probably with a little heaviness to it.
Is he the tambourine guy?
He might be the tambourine guy.
Right, the tambourine guy, like out back, so he doesn't throw the drummer off and everybody else. So,
dude, that's how I was on the djembe at the Flattoberfest. I tried to sit in with the band on the djembe, and I realized I can dance, but I cannot. You know, I'm not a musician yet.
Yeah,
can't keep the beat.
I can dance to it, but I guess
it's
I can't
a lot
keep
different.
It's weird.
Yeah, well, playing with other people too. It's different than when you're just playing by yourself, because you have to keep a beat with other people.
Mm-hmm. You got to be very present.
Yeah, you have to know your instrument well.
I'm new on the djembe.
Yeah, I mess around with the guitar a little bit. I wouldn't say I play guitar. At one time, I might have almost started playing guitar. That was like 11 years in.
Got real close once.
Yep, I got real close to being considered able to play the guitar, but now I just tinker.
Well, I was sad because I wanted to be tambourine girl and Josh took my job, so got to thinking about it, and maybe I'm going to bring back, those little kid xylophones.
Oh yeah.
With the things, maybe we'll bring one of the kitty xylophones up on the stage if I have to perform. But that's about my limit.
See, xylophones are good, except those little rubber mallets. I'll get a little excited.
I know, I like
then
those.
It bounces up, hits me in the face. I'm better off with maybe a tambourine out in the back parking lot.
Yeah, I like the rubber mallet. In fact, that was part of the bouncy feel I was liking, because I was thinking some of the other ones, like the kazoo, if we had to choose like the kazoo and that, it's like no.
I've got it. I can play. It's like it's kind of like a slide whistle, and it's kind of like the old plastic bird whistles. You know, you pour a little water in there, and then it blows a little bird song out. It's sort of like that, but it's about 18, 24 inches tall. You see. And instead of blowing through it, you suck through it, and you just pull the slide in and out, and you can change the tone. I could play that son of a bitch all night long.
I saw that. That was beautiful. I like. What's that instrument made out of?
Well, see, the practice ones are made out of like a plastic. That way, you don't drop them and break them until you can really get the feel and the vibe, because they're not the easiest ones to learn to play. But once you do, you can go ahead and upgrade, and they've got all sorts of cool shapes and different tones. Zongs are real nice. Yeah.
Did anybody play instruments like in grade school or junior high in band? Anybody here?
No.
Nope. Nobody signed up for.
I was in the choir. My voice was my instrument.
Yeah, the choir in high school or elementary?
Right in between, junior high.
Played tuba and the baritone in like 4th through 6th grade, and then after that, I was also a choir head.
I couldn't play my voice either. Couldn't play that instrument.
Oh well, in 5th grade, I signed up to do the baritone, and my parents took one look at that, and they took me out and got me a puppy.
That's
like, no,
the case is bigger than you are. Yeah, right.
Yeah, they're like flute or something. It's like, I don't want to play the flute. I don't want to play the clarinet. I want to play the baritone.
Yeah,
I don't know what was
powerful.
Your parents are fucking genius.
Yeah. That was, well, I had wanted a puppy for so long. I mean, for years I had obsessed with getting a puppy, and so it was like, oh man. And it's like, well, I was like, Dad's gonna, yeah. Well, my mom was like,
saw the baritone, and they looked at each other, and they're like, puppy.
It wasn't even that. It was my mom seeing the note from school and us to go picking it up, and she was like, we'll get you a puppy. And it's like, Dad's gonna kill us if we do that. And she'll like, Dad'll get over it. Dad got home to a puppy. She showed him the baritone note, and yeah, my dad was the one that slept with that damn puppy on his head at night. I mean, that puppy was like a hat for him wrapped around his little finger. I've never seen anything so pathetic in my life. Mr. No, I don't want a dog. And it's like, yeah, because you don't want us all to see what a pussy you get to be when you get around little dogs. Big softy.
That's great. Yeah, it's funny how the parents will fight the puppy, and the kids will bring the puppy, and the parents will usually all cave, really easily. If it's a cute puppy, there's not much resistance usually.
It's hard.
Well,
it's
yeah,
really
the parents
hard.
just know they're going to be the ones that end up taking care of it. So at first they hate the idea.
Mm.
Yeah.
Actually, no,
give
with
a
my
puppy
parents,
a little bit of time.
I was really, really, really super responsible for that. They weren't worried about that. They knew I would take care of the puppy. I don't know. We just had 5 kids, and I don't think they wanted to add to the chaos.
Yeah.
It didn't really. I mean, it made it more fun. So
Yep.
after that, they never went without dogs. So yeah, it was a good thing.
I think my puppy's going on 90 pounds right now.
Big boy.
Yeah, he's almost 2. He'll be 2 in January.
Man, that's a big boy.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a rare breed. He's a Chinook, a Chinook. His dad hopped the fence, unfixed, up in the mountains here, and hooked up with a purebred boxer from Florida, unfixed. And I helped raise his mom, Buchka, for a couple years, and so I got one of the puppies. But the dad was a Chinook, purebred Chinook, and it's a New Hampshire sled dog. And get this, Admiral Byrd used them in his sled dogs. He literally bred Chinooks. Go look it up. It's insane. When I
Oh,
found
that's so
that out,
cool.
I was like, wait, are you kidding me? I have a freaking Admiral Byrd sled dog. They were from New Hampshire sled dogs. And he used them on some of his expositions and bred them specifically.
Wow, that's wild. I've been hearing I've been going back and listening to. It's so awesome right now because people are starting to put out a lot of their older stuff again. You know, just kind of re-uploading it because there's so many new people, and nobody goes back. And even if you type in the name of a lot of these videos, they don't even pop up by name. You know, so yeah, the people are re-putting out stuff. And I listened to an Admiral Byrd diary one. I forget who did it. I think it was Flat Water. Flat Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And yeah, it just took me back to 2016, 2015, the good old days.
when it was all fresh. And it's amazing how it's fresh. That was one of the things that was really awesome about the Flaktoberfest there in South Carolina and Spartanburg. Such a beautiful little downtown area.
That's where we are right now, by the way. Zach and I live in Spartanburg. And Bob.
Yeah. I was in your backyard.
You're in our backyard, yes.
Yeah, the river's gorgeous. And what was I saying? Sorry.
You're talking about
being in Spartanburg.
being at Spartanburg, being at Flaktoberfest.
Oh, the
what it was like to get
Flaktoberfest.
together with, yes.
Yeah, and just seeing the fresh, like how some people are like, yeah, I just found out about this 6 months ago, and I came down here, and I'm just, my mind is blown, and I have all these books, and and it just that new energy, like where people where it's fresh to them, and it's awesome, and the journey is awesome, I guess. And when you see the full circle of it's such a different space and place for me, and being around people that are excited when they're first learning about it, and it's so much easier to see now and get now to some extent, but it's harder for the normies, but it's easier for some other people for some reason. It's interesting. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's because it's more open now. There's a lot more people talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
So you're starting to get people that, we're like in phase 2 now.
Yeah.
People that would have never looked into it, because of their ego, are kind of letting it, just asking a question here or there, kind of letting it, not just shutting it down instantly. So it's going to be different now. You're going to get a big mixture of people coming in.
Well, in 2015 and that, but like when you told somebody about it, people were like looking at you like, are you serious? And they had never considered it. And now at least it's being dropped in media, it's on shows, it's on the news that people have been flat earthers. And so it's not like, again, the 2015, 16, if you think about it, when you tried to like advocate or whatever, you were hitting with people with an idea that they didn't really think that you were out there seriously doing it, or that people believe that, because it was such a strange idea to them. It was so foreign. Well, now they know that it's being talked about.
And the channels and the frequencies, right? So people are able to actually get onto some different channels, and especially with the nonsense for the last 2 years with lockdown and so forth, and they're losing faith in this mainstream narrative because it's so crazy and all over the place. It's like, oh, this matters or that matters, or now this matters, and now we're going to contradict ourselves, and it's so blatant that I think that a lot of people are saying, okay, what are some other channels here? And maybe we should, be less attached to this mainstream narrative channel and be a little bit more flexible and open. And I think because they're getting shaken, and I think that's on purpose. I think that's part of potential this overall layers to layers of the game that's being played, right? So part of it is to expose this, because when you look at the lunar lander, obviously it was made to be obvious that, hey, look, we're lying to you, right? So there's games and layers to the obviousness, and how much they expose, and how many people, and the vibrations that people are picking up. So I don't know. Those are, I don't know if
It
that,
does feel a bit like mockery sometimes.
And it seems like there's a whole new band of trolls to go along with these new people. It seems like the trolls of old that are still around are all kind of doing their thing in their little own echo chamber, but I'm seeing this new thing of trolls come rolling through right now, a younger group.
Oh, okay.
And they're going back with all the old arguments from like 2015. They're just rehashing them all because they're just now getting into it. So they're
Okay. So they're
But
they're
it's
just saying, no, I want to believe in this other reality that's been forced upon me, and I've have some sort of, stock in it, so I'm going to defend it, i.e., become, Agent Smith of the Matrix, and
well,
and
no,
so
I'm
I'm.
saying this is J Trig. This is actual people that are being
Okay.
paid to do this
Oh, okay, gotcha.
by our government, to go and make hit piece videos, to stir the
Mhm.
pot, all that kind of stuff, just to,
Still, yeah, still
waste your
trying to,
time.
still trying to censor, and still trying to make sure that the algorithms are pretty effective now, in the sense that if people don't know truth, and they're just starting out, it's going to be an uphill battle, unless they have a hack like the sun, moon, and clock zodiac clock app. If they have that hack, then they can see all the videos, yada yada yada, or something like that, where they can get through some of the algorithms that are so effective. If you just search something on YouTube right now,
Yeah.
you yeah
Yeah, that's a great Christmas present to give to people who are just
yeah
starting to ask questions. Like, hey, man, what is with this whole flat Earth thing that I hear you talk about?
$3 gifted.
$3. That's a Christmas present that changes people's lives. Yeah.
Yep.
And I know there's a lot of people saying, well, the AE map has this problem. Yeah, but we're working it out. It's the closest thing we have, and it's woken up so many. That map made it all make sense for me. Seeing that. Just seeing that Earth in that form, it was like, whoa, okay, I get it.
And it goes back to Cami mentioned the stars above, and I like it. I like it a lot because it really shows you how you have a clock above you, in the sense of the stars and all those energies that come down here into this time and place and space, and where the sun and moon is in relation to these different bodies and houses, and so forth. I mean, I think that's has a lot to do with the story that's been kept from us. There's
And
there's a
yeah,
there's
it
a lot of
explains why they make
yeah.
such a mockery of astrology, because they don't want you to use it.
Exactly, because that's what they say that the billionaires use, and because they know what energies are playing out down here at a certain point in time, and it's based on, what's going on in the skies above, and yeah, they definitely, like Tammy said, made
And
a mock.
now I wouldn't even say billionaires use it now because Elon Musk is a billionaire.
Well,
And
he's a
that guy,
puppet.
I think, yeah, I think most of these billionaires are. But
Puppet.
we're talking about trillionaires now.
Yeah.
JP Morgan back in, 1903 or whenever he said that. Yeah, he'd be
Mhm.
considered a trillionaire now. He wouldn't be
Yeah.
considered, he's like the
A billionaire.
Rockefellers. They're not on the list of the
Mhm.
wealthiest people on earth. They're above people.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, all those families, whether they were working for the other 6 families or 12 families or whatever, however the hierarchy or pyramid goes, um, it's well, I guess, even documented in the information age, that you can go and find out that these various families obviously were indoctrinating the masses, i.e., our whole culture, civilization, and they did a very effective job at instituting the various systems that govern our lives, whether it was the healthcare, whether it was the education, whether it was the workforce, whatever it was. They were
They paid
masters.
money doing it. It wasn't, like the books that they pretty much give to the educational systems cost more to make than they sell them for.
100%.
So they can do that. So everybody has to choose these books because they're the cheapest ones.
The one that I like is that I guess it was whether it was the Rockefeller or Rothschild family or whichever, they would put one of their people on the board. They would say, hey, we're going to give you this much money to build the university and the hospital, but we want someone on the board of that university and said hospital. And then what would happen is then they would institute and make sure that what was taught, which was the allopathic medicine ways, which was basically getting prescription drugs because it had to do with the oil industry and like chemical industry, which they controlled. And so it was this whole allopathic medicine push and how they funded the universities to write the textbooks for the doctors in and pushed out all the other different forms of medicine in our country. That was one of the first rabbit holes that I went down. And
not only in our
Hockley,
country, yeah.
Yeah, you remember Hockley? He had all those clinics back, and I don't know if it was the 30s, 40s, or 50s. Hockley, this guy that was a vet, and he healed his horse with certain herbs, and then he opened up clinics all over the place. And they pushed him out, and they chased him out. The American Medical Association, they would run anybody out that wasn't doing allopathic medicine. And what is that? That's just treating symptoms. That's not
right. But they took it as pharmacare. They took it a step higher than that. Even I mean, what they did was they created, like we have the Federal Reserve. They created an institution called the WHO, the World Health Organization, which is over 80% owned and controlled by the pharmaceutical pharmacia institutions. And so again, they made an thing. So it's not just here. They're doing this worldwide. I mean, it's I think again, open your eyes and look at the picture in Australia and again, all the different countries. But again, the WHO, the World Health, you have the pharmaceutical companies that could be releasing something that make us sick. That again, it's a nice transfer of money because those free vaccines and free tests and free things that they give everything, nothing is free.
Exactly. No, yeah. The best on health that I've found in the truth movement is allegedly Dave Murphy, and just his bodies. He's got all sorts of different videos that go through it, body centric, this one, that one, and he just goes through how our bodies work, what's really going on, how they fooled everybody, and a lot of it's mind. More, surprisingly enough, like when you get down to it, it's really more of a mental game. And
intention, go figure. Remember that plant got scared when it knew you intended to light it on fire. Perfected by intention. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, and just in terms of health and the different types of medicines that are being pushed on us that are nonsensical, they're to take our power away and to make you think that you need X, Y, and Z. So, but the picture in the textbooks, going back to the textbooks even, is that from zero as a baby infant growing to the time that you're a teenager through your adolescence and teenager and then adulthood, and then you shrink and you get gray and old and back into a baby, like an old shriveled whatever. And they show that 1 through 80 or 1 through 90 years, and they show that on purpose. And what happens is when we get to be whatever age, we kind of feel like, oh, this is what I should be and do and look and like, and oh, what would I do? And so what Dave Murphy, or allegedly Dave, does is he really breaks it down and says, hey, look, in your mind, if you feel like you're running up the stairs when you're 65, when you walk into a building, you can take the escalator or you can take the stairs. And when you were 20, in your 20s, you just had a mentality for whatever reason in your mind that you were going to take the stairs. Or it's really a mental game a lot of the times, where if you see yourself a certain way, then that'll play out. And that's psychology 101, and that's proven in a lot of science experiments. Like how powerful the placebo effect is, right? And how powerful your mind is. So with health and not seeing that age, what does a 70-year-old look like? What does an 80-year-old look like? Well, I think of like, those guys that are in the park that are working out with a bunch of young dudes, and they're like, yeah, I'm 70 years old, and they look like they're 25. In his mind, he's a he's a dude in the park with a bunch of other dudes. He's not a 75-year-old crippled guy that's bent over that has to look a certain way or act or be a certain way. He's just being.
Yeah, it's really a testament to
that.
how powerful we are. I've been saying it for a while now, probably over a decade, that I'm going to be 120. That's just what I'm going to do. I'm going to
220,
live
whatever.
Well, no, it's going to be 120. I don't want to live too much. I mean, that's a long time.
You're like, I'm going to not
I want
be
to
a
see what's
vampire.
next. Yeah, I definitely want to go on to the next step and everything. But 120, I figured about 90, I'll start writing my book. They'll give me 30 years.
There you go.
Yeah. Finish my book, close it, close my eyes.
One of the examples that he uses is there's these girls down in Palm Springs, and they're dancers, and they're all in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, and they all look like they're in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and it's because in their mind they dance and they perform 6 nights out of the week, out of 7 nights, and so in their mind they're not old ladies, they're performers, they're dancers. So then you see them up on the stage, and your jaw is dropped when you realize these women are in their 80s and 70s, and they look so fit and healthy and so on and so forth, because in their mind they're dancers.
Yeah, so they look like a dancer. Yeah,
exactly. 100%.
Yeah, and it's hard to
hear
just
you,
tell
but
people that, but yeah.
I do hear you, but there's the old lady sounds that creak in when I try to attempt to do things when I was younger that I forget that I can't do. So I wonder where that comes from, where again I'll get something
Well,
up
we
my
were programmed. We were
Yeah.
programmed to think this way.
Well, I
All
don't
of
know.
us.
It's like I'll do something
Okay.
and think I
Right
can
now.
do
Oops,
it and
sorry.
then creak. Yeah. It's like, why am I creaking? I really thought I could do that, and now I'm making an old lady sound, What's up with that?
Well, I think Walt is going to answer, right?
Yeah, no, what I was about to say is to give you perspective on like time and age and thought processes. Wilford Brimley, when he did the movie Cocoon, was the same age that Paul Rudd, the sexiest man alive currently, is right now. Paul Rudd is the same age that Wilford Brimley was when he did Cocoon. Go watch Cocoon and look at Wilford Brimley and look at Paul Rudd. Either he's eating baby placentas or he's got a different state of mind than we do.
Okay. Which one are you putting your money on?
I don't know. Well, like I told you before we started, man, when I was at the doctor, oh, you don't look like you're in your 50s. And then like, well, let's get all these tests and let's see if your blood pressure does it. I'm like, yeah, that's why I don't look like I'm in my 50s. I'm not walking around with a Ziploc bag filled with pill bottles as I walked in here with you, did I? So that's fine. I'll skip your tests and keep living my life. Thank you.
Yeah, and what I was going to say is it has a lot to do with the detoxing. So I think it's Bruce Lipton, right? We know of him and epigenetics.
Oh, yeah.
So what he says is that when he was in his lab looking at cells, the human cells, as long as they were in the perfect solution, i.e. the perfect environment, not a toxic environment, that those cells would never degenerate, they would never die, they would never they would just increase, and they would be perfectly fine. They wouldn't degrade in any way, shape, they wouldn't age. And so what does that tell you? It tells you that the reason that we're aging, that these human cells age, our avatars, if you will, is because of our environment and the toxins that we're exposed to. Now, what can you do about that is the same thing as you would do when you're driving your car. you change the oil and the car can drive to 500,000 miles. But if you never change the oil, i.e., if you don't detox all the toxins that are in the blood of the car, i.e., the oil, and detox our blood by doing cleansing and doing forms of detox, whether it's juicing or fasting or distilled waters or just fruits and vegetables, raw foods. So that's a form of an oil change. And that's going to allow your cells to rejuvenate because you're giving them time to, relax and recuperate and rejuvenate. Your body will repair itself if you let it and you don't get in the way. And that's what the whole fasting thing is about. And that's that whole culture. They understand and overstand that.
Well, this is just drawing to say after you did the prophetic, how beautiful that was. But with that whole time that you were talking, I kept on hearing in the back of my mind the song Rusty Old American Dream that was about a rusty old car.
I used to always listen to the Car Talk guys. Those guys were awesome.
Oh, I love the Car Talk guys.
Click and clack.
The Tappet Brothers.
Yeah, NPR or whatever.
Yeah.
Something Hakka Loogie.
Brought to you by the
all those
law offices of Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe.
Yeah. Yeah, I loved all the names at the end. That was great. Those guys, I'm calling BS. Ain't nobody knows that much stuff about that many different. You could name some car that they made
Zach.
5 of. No way. They had the internet. There's something
Zach.
they had.
They had like a team of like 3 dudes.
No, they had one call screener, you see, and you call in with your car question to Click and Clack the Tappet Brothers. And the call screener says,
look it up.
What's your question? And you say, all right, great. We're going to call you back in a week.
Oh.
And then sometime throughout the week, they'll call you back and you go on and you ask your question, and Click and Clack the Tappet Brothers will answer your question that they got fed 3 days prior. And they splice all those together.
I thought it was live. That's how dumb I am.
God, and I thought that they had like Rose there in the background calling out all of the answers, like it does at the conferences. Oh, what episode was this? Oh yeah, that was episode 27 or 237, 37 minutes into it. Some people can just remember things like crazy.
This is public radio. This is government-funded public radio. You can't properly brainwash the masses without complete and utter control over the narrative.
Right. You think we'll ever find out if, like, I'm thinking, it's just added. The disclosure is not something that I see in the cards. Like, it's interesting. It's not. It's going to come from an outside force, if you will. So it's part of the collective's job to change what they manifest and the thoughts in their head. And so if they stop going along with the narratives and they tune out of that, they say, oh, that vibration is no good for me anymore. And then collectively we try to manifest a new story collectively, and there's got to be like a certain tipping point, to win that. And I'm usually not this optimistic. I don't know where it's coming from. Oh man.
Yeah, they would have to shut down NASA for at least 2 decades before they came out and said, I mean, because with that lie constantly going, they can't come out and say, yeah, we're lying to you right now. Now, in 20 years, after, a lot of these old politicians are dead and gone, then they could come out and say, hey, those guys were lying to you. We're not lying to you, but they were. But yeah, they would have to do something big like that. There would have to be some reason to get rid of the lies that they tell us today, tomorrow, yesterday. Those are the lies that they can't hide from by admitting that the earth is flat right now. They can't do it. So yeah, something drastic there'd have to be like a world war that shut down all space, blah, blah, blah for decades. And then it might come out that the earth is flat by them.
You're just saying that the spell is too much for the masses, in terms of as long as NASA's still standing, that's too big of a spell for a majority to
Well, no, there'd be such an uprising because of NASA. Because NASA is lying to me right now. Yesterday, if NASA shut down today, and they came out tomorrow and said, "Hey, the Earth's flat," there's going to be a lot of pissed off people because it was just yesterday when they were lying to you.
Yeah.
But if you shut down all these space agencies for a couple decades and people totally forget about all that, then it comes out 20 years later, hey, they were lying to you.
Okay, gotcha. Because now there's nobody to tar and feather or to burn.
Exactly. Yeah, it was 20 years ago. Most of those people are gone, this or that, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, they could, cover their own backsides. That's the only way I could see them, getting out of this without the tar and feathering.
Huh.
That's just my take, though.
Yeah, I was just posturing whether or not it was going to be, if I don't know, it's how much disclosure. I mean, the nonsense continues to get more nonsensical, and I think that's on purpose, right? Like, do you think that there's a machine of of some sort that is trying to slowly wake more of us up, or them up, or however you want to say it, wake more peeps up in general, and this machine, if you will, and that's for lack of a better term, knows exactly what it's doing and how it's doing it slowly but surely in a way where it can be done gently enough for certain people to still have hope.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you follow though?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, that's
because how much more nonsensical do certain things have to get before more people go like popcorn? It's like, that's kind of how I feel like some of this is sometimes when I even hear about stuff in the mainstream narrative or media. I'm like, are you serious? That's what they're saying right now? Like, and so I don't really tune into it, but when I do catch it from other people, it seems almost nonsensical to the point where it seems like, oh, this is an obvious play to try to help wake people up. But again, you can go one way or the other, just like the tower, right? Or whatever, the spell. You can fall deeper asleep, or you can wake up.
Mm-hmm.
between the two towers, right?
And I think people are falling, a lot of them, deeper asleep because they're in fear.
See, on the Twitter feed that I rarely go play with, I've had a lot of extra free time on my hand over the last few weeks, so I've kind of been on there more than I have in the last 2 years. And truly, I see a huge number of people just, straight up saying, this time last year, I thought this and that and the other was true. You pick a topic that we covered, pick it. Heliocentrism, freaking Mandela, history, the fucking health industry, the pharmacy, all of that. Pick it. And a year ago, I was believing it, but now I'm here. I am, and let me find some people that know what the hell's really going on, and they're looking for some info. So as many people as I aggravatingly see around me that are constantly being as stupid as they can be, I also see a greater number of folks that are suddenly going, hey, wait, what? The third one, and I'm still not able to go to the fucking show or the concert or whatever. Y'all are out of your fucking minds. There's got to be more going on here than something that, and they wake up and look at things. So I don't know.
Yeah.
James True comes on here a lot and talks about this very thing of, that this machine we all rail against, this evil entity, this one, this they, whatever the fuck you want to call it, might be serving a bigger purpose than we understand.
Yeah, there's levels to this shit, as Ralph Smart says. He says there's levels to this shit. Yeah. There's multiple layers. It's yeah. Layer.
Well, the internet just died at the house, so I think Cammy probably dropped. I don't see her. I was on my phone, so I just switched over to my phone.
Oh,
But yeah, she's getting on Jared right now.
They heard us finally.
I was looking for her crescent moon. I like her logo.
Yeah, one of the guys here at the Realm made that for her.
I think it was between things that Adam and I were kind of throwing to the wall. That one finally stuck. So, and I believe he found or he got the final design.
So what do you guys?
What do you guys?
Was it yours? See, I couldn't remember.
I'm pretty
Josh.
sure it was. Just looking through my photos today, I found the picture of the girl on the swing. I'm thinking that's right. That was from when I did Cammy's logo. I'm pretty sure. That's
okay. Everyone, Walt was completely fucking wrong. It wasn't Adam. It was Josh.
I like. I need to get a logo here.
I think mine had it swinging off the moon or something, like a kid in a swing, because Cammy always had a very childlike approach with wisdom.
The curiosity.
Exactly. The curiosity of a child and the wonderment when she would find those answers. Yep.
I like
I'm glad she's not here while I'm saying all this.
Imagination. The imagination, and then you break it down to imagine, and then you spell the imagine out. I'm sure you guys have heard this. I'm a genie. I am, or it's I am, and then imma, and then GINE is just genie, genie. So I'm a genie. Imagine. So if you can just keep your imagination, your childlike imagination, then thus you can potentially become a manifesting genie.
Then you can pretend your reality. That way you can make it grow and manifest.
Then you can smoke it. And then you can smoke it.
Yeah. Pretend it so you can post-tend it. That's right.
Right. That's gravy. So the astrology and the sun and the moon and Polaris and it being the clock and whatever being in the North Pole, north of Greenland, that is changing changing sizes on the map that they show. But the whole stars and just that whole clock and the constellations and teaching that and making that sure that model gets, I think we need more curriculum. We need more people, content creators that could somehow make that more fun and teach that information and knowledge, because they don't have that locked down, because it's still information and knowledge. And I think like I said, I think we all, kind of feel that it's a bigger part of, the energies down here. And I don't know, I just keep going back to that, that there's probably some gravy there and it should be taught in curriculum. That's why it's not taught in any of the schools. And it's made, like Cammy was saying, it's made fun of. It's blown off, and it's like, oh, it's astronomy that you want to study, which is all the nonsensical NASA facts and figures, versus they make fun of astrology. And they say that that's just, a crystal ball and a what do you have it? A gypsy.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and
voodoo,
Hollywood,
they call it all kinds of stuff.
Hollywood has portrayed that image, and so therefore, it's like, no, we don't need to look to the stars for knowledge. Or it was kind of just made as like very flippant.
Mm-hmm. See, I think voodoo is closest to what our capabilities actually are.
Okay. So dark and light magic.
Yeah, and whichever way they choose to use it,
Mm-hmm.
but they put their intent into all different types of things, even just things they say, or it's really interesting, and they believe it,
Yep.
and it works because they're making it happen.
110%. That's like when they get bit by the snake and they're not affected and they drink their voodoo juice or whatever, and they're believing it just in such a fury that your essence and your energetic being goes along with the frequency, and you're able to transmute whatever because of your belief.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing. It's never tried it, never practiced it or anything like that. But yeah, that belief, and it's not everybody that practices, but those who have it that are that strong, like you said, that crazy belief that there's no doubt in their mind whatsoever. It's, we are that powerful. Yeah,
And
this
then
place is so nuts. And isn't this the stuff that Jesus was telling us
you
in
take
the Bible?
that power and you take that power. Yeah. There's a great guy that breaks it down. Oh, what's his name? He's an older gentleman, and he's got almost like Phil, almost like Phil Donahue, but his name's like Phil something. And he talks about what Jesus is exactly talking about. He's saying, look, step into your power. You guys are all more powerful than me. You just have to detox, breathe, do this, and get Christ-like spirit. 40 days, 40 nights. Get the frequency and energy, and you guys will be fine. Blah blah blah. Like take back your own power. Like he was saying all this sort of stuff, and they like have been hiding it in all these different organized religions. That he was really someone that was spreading a message to tell people to step into their own power, tune into a certain frequency that is the Christ-like, Buddha-like, Krishna-like frequency, and
Uh-oh.
you all have that. This is what's going to change your reality.
Yeah, you cut out there just for a second. We heard this is what's going to change your reality, but we missed a few seconds before that.
Oh, I was just saying that it's the Christ-like, Buddha-like, Gandhi-like, or yeah, Gandhi too. Yeah, Christ, Buddha, Krishna-like spirit, that Christ-like energy that was hidden, and it's not portrayed in obviously the organized religions. They don't want you to empower yourself, step into your own power, and raise your frequency and vibration. And that's where cannabis, like the real Christ, Yeshua figure, potentially, allegedly, could it be, maybe, was a black man that went around with cannabis and the holy anointing oil, which
Anointing
was,
oil?
yeah,
Yes, sir.
Walt knows, and went around and basically was raising frequency and energy and vibration via the medicine. And that's obviously not anything in organized religion that we've been taught, or that I have.
Yeah, no, it's like the exact opposite. Imagine that.
Mm-hmm. Saying we all have access to raise our frequency, and this is potentially how we could do it. And then you can then be more concerned about walking this path, because you're just, it's just like truth. You just can't get enough.
That's awesome, man.
And
we're
they're intertwined too, right? The truth and the cannabis. I mean, that's part of, I think that's the, if you think about North Pole, Polaris, what's at the center, right? They talk about the tree in the center, the tree of life, or Mount Meru, or Mount Zion, and maybe that there's like the tree at the center, that mythology, maybe that's the Celtic. And I'm thinking that tree is a very special tree, and potentially that tree would have healing powers, and that tree potentially would be encoded in all of us if we're from this realm, and it grows like rings. And if you know Martin Kinney's model of the cosmic egg, with the lands that are outward, and David Weiss, he talks about it, and so you have the concentric tree rings growing from the in the center, and that tree of life potentially was under attack and might have been cut down. Who knows? I'm not sure. But the point is I think the cannabis tree is probably representative of that, because in all of us is encoded this endocannabinoid system that connects and has receptors specifically to this plant. And not only that, this plant then can take on all the other medicinal properties of all the other plants. Those are the terpenes and the cannabinoids. So the terpenes, that's why you have all the different varieties of cannabis. You have your blueberry, your lemon, your this, your skunk, your this, your that. It's taking on the different components of all the other plant kingdom, right? All the other plants in the plant kingdom. And it's able to then transmute and turn those terpenes into medicinal properties. And that's a special plant.
Josh, do you see Cammy in the waiting room by any chance?
She just popped in.
I've been
Okay.
looking.
Your message came through before she did.
Yeah, the messages came through. She just got here. I've been waiting. We're on it, Cammy. I promise. Thank you, Bob.
Yeah, I wasn't scared at all. I was in the back room for a long time. I don't think that you guys saw me. My internet dropped, and then when it reset, I went back in the back room, and I'm like listening to the show on my phone, but not in the thing. And Bob was like, did they not let you in?" And it's like, they might not. I already talked quite a bit. Josh can be pretty strict with the amount of words you can use on this show. We're
Damn
tight.
right. That's right.
Damn right. So yeah, I feel like we bullied my way back on, but keep going. It's been really great listening.
I was just talking about the plant, and then so what we're trying to do here, and what we're trying to get everybody to start doing, is actually to start utilizing cannabis in a different way, and to use your intent to raise your frequency, and have the cannabis use it more in a ceremonial way. It doesn't matter the amount of usage. That's to each their own, and if you need more, then you need more. If you need less, you need less. But it's the intent. And cannabis is a friendly plant that is here for us specifically. And if we tune in to its vibration, we can utilize it rather than to tune out. Like, you don't want to, it's okay to use it if you want to, if you're stressed and you want to watch a movie and tune out, but let's try to use it more purposefully, and with more purpose, and have intent, and try to raise our frequency, and try to tune in when we use the medicine, rather than, and I know a lot of people do that already, but that's what I would challenge more people to do. Whether you use it in a salve, you're just activating your endocannabinoid system. Whether you do gummies, whether you do vape, whether you smoke it, and the full spectrum. So you get a lot of like I said before, the terpenes and the cannabinoids. So that's where you're using all the plant, and you're not isolating it too much, right? Because a lot of these, commercial products are just isolated, cheap versions of, X, Y, and Z. When you get a full spectrum, so
it took me about 2 trips probably to Oregon before I realized that a lot of the companies were simply using isolated THC and these fake terpenes that were giving their little cartridges a particular flavor that weren't necessarily true full spectrum product, which became a thing and did become the cartridges that I gravitated towards. I can't remember names, or I would throw some out right now, but definitely you have to learn your way through some of that in the dispensaries. You have to know, some companies are strictly there to make money. Unfortunately, that's just the case in a capitalistic society, but get to know the growers, get to know the people that work there. You'll find someone who's there for the medicine side of it and help you get to the right stuff for sure. Somebody like James here actually is who you need to find.
Well, what the fuck else are you supposed to do with all those damn sugar leaves?
Fuck. Well, no, yeah,
exactly. Right.
You use the whole plant 100%. It's just and here's the thing too. Any in my opinion, medicine that is coming from the plant and cannabis, THC, CBD, all that is 100 times better than what the matrix is pushing, what those vibrations are. So, I mean, obviously with cannabis, you have ranges from, boutique, organic, grower to, the commercial. But again, it's all better than what the alternative was that we all believed in 10, 15, 20 years ago or whatever, right?
Yep. That's for sure.
Yeah. But you definitely want the better quality with the better vibration, and yeah, you want people that want to put intent. I mean, there's people using crystals and all sorts of different things, and they're putting frequencies in their water and doing, there's a lot of people that are, I've heard all sorts of good stories where people are using more of these new kind of technologies, if you will, that involve cymatics, and we're going to try to do some more of that here, where we can get sound to actually create a frequency in potentially the salve, like the edible salve that we do. Like, not only just stir it, but then if I could actually vibrate it somehow, and create those patterns, that are, at whatever hertz and whatever frequency. I think that would just be amazing.
So, the thing that's really interesting is this crossover. The Martin Kinney's Cosmic Egg, the one that everybody loves so much, was actually put together by this guy Norb.
Norb.
Yeah. And Norb is right now in the process of making seed to harvest videos using magnets and cymatics and sound frequencies.
Yeah, crazy.
Doing his stuff. He's making a whole album for 432 music for plants.
So for cannabis specifically?
Yes, I'm almost positive it's cannabis specific.
Wow.
So check out Norb's World, Norbz, Norb's World. Yeah, he's the guy that actually built that whole CGI model of Martin Kinney's Cosmic Egg.
Okay, yeah, it was amazing. No, he's the techie for sure.
Yep.
I remember, and Martin gave him due credit for sure. He was like, it was us that built this together, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's really interesting.
I was early on with Martin Kinney. His was a fun journey.
If I get about $1,000 worth of extra money, I'd like to buy some magnets and start running some experiments.
Yes. Yeah. And Cami is the expert in respect to the tower of the magnets wrapped to create a great frequency and the pattern and the harmonious frequencies that we're trying to tap into. And if we know how to use these towers and these magnets and this tech, even if it's in just a real easy, simple layman's way, like at the corner or four corners of a room that we're in or that we're growing in. I mean, if it creates a flower of life and ley lines and energy lines with which Cami obviously demonstrated to me with her science at the Oktoberfest, then yeah, I love that potentiality in terms of building the future and utilizing what Cami was displaying to create environments, micro and macro. On a micro scale, just a small little microgreen grow in your, like your basement, and using something to create ley lines and energy and helping the plants, and frequencies, to a whole village, a village with water running through it on those specific ley lines, with the towers.
They have these guys back in the late 1890s, I think 1880s, they figured out that if you just hang wires over your garden and bury some underneath and run positive to the top and negative to the bottom, they found that they could make the plants and the bugs and insects all bigger, and everything got bigger and healthier and stronger. But then they found out when they used an AC current and they alternated it to where it was a certain frequency when it was positive and this certain frequency negative, that they could hurt the bugs but not hurt the plant and still get the plant to grow a little bit bigger. Not as big as when they had it just DC, positive on top all the time, negative on the bottom, But when they learned when they alternate it and they could control the frequencies, they could use it for pest control and still making your plant bigger. And this was a long time ago they figured this out. Yeah, this is stuff that should be everywhere being used and is buried.
This stuff that is buried and it's so pure and so clean and so beautiful. Again, if you can create the perfect, you see like the magnets, you have your magnetism, you have your electricity, you have, again, different layers of energy that can create that perfect realm for growing. My head got really, really big. I don't know, big and humbled or whatever, or swelled with love, like while you were talking, just thinking that for all of the nervousness of doing Flattoberfest and the work that went into it, everything, you just made it was worthwhile for me, but you made it so more worthwhile that like this could be touching in growth and applied in real life. I was thinking while you were talking about the many and more magnets, it's like, no, that's my dream. I always want more magnets. And I always, in fact, I sneak them in. I have a couple. I have these sets.
Ask Satan. I mean Santa for magnets for Christmas.
I did not ask Satan for magnets, but Zach, those 3 that spun in different directions and that you could bend. You know those ones I showed you?
Yeah.
They're on their way.
Yeah, she
it was
the other day. Like, this will be here soon.
This will be here soon. But they're spokes. If you can think about like a wheel on your bicycle, and make spokes out with magnets at the end. And each one of the spokes you can move up or down and bend around almost like a transformer, and then they twirl. And then they stack and twirl, so you can make different rotations.
Oh wow! Okay,
yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
They're on. Well, I don't know. I was going to say they're on Facebook and all this stuff all the time, but I think that my phone might know my personal interests and always suggests magnetic toys. So maybe it's not like that for everybody else.
Yeah, I think they do. I'm sure they use that algorithm stuff.
I'm sure they use that for the good, because it's like, I don't know how you can miss it. It's every other ad. It's like this. It's like these people know I'm fascinated with magnets. It's like, yeah.
Have you guys? Speaking of, this is a little bit on the same kind of path. Did you go and do the whole Sedona? The guy that he actually came from Evergreen, Colorado, and he went to Sedona. The guy that found out the latest and greatest research in regard to the grounding, and he was trying to get the universities to research it. Are you familiar with the story? And he started doing the grounding and earthing mats because the science started to back it and support it, and how there's that negative and positive. And so when we ground and put our feet and do the earthing and grounding, that there's actually the health implications are well proven, even in academia now. Are you familiar with that story, Beto, the guy from Evergreen?
No, this is
unfamiliar
to me.
It makes sense. So I am very, very familiar with Sedona.
Okay, so so it's a great story. I'll be really quick. So he living in Evergreen, got bored. He got a huge camper RV, drove to Sedona, was in his hotel. He kept getting shocked on his laptop because of the carpet in his hotel. Was like, okay, I just have to ground it. The guy was, I guess, savvy and an engineer, and so he took a copper wire, put some metal tape on his laptop, connected it to this copper wire, from Home Depot, dragged it outside, wrapped it around a rod, and hammered the rod into the ground outside the window in Sedona. And so now every time he stepped up to his laptop, even though he had all the static electricity, he wasn't getting shocked because it was grounded, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he did that, and then he walked outside, and he said he was sitting on this bench, and he saw all these heavy set people getting off a big tour bus in Sedona, and they all had white Nikes on. they all looked like they just bought brand new white tennies. And so he started thinking, and he said, wait a sec, okay, so none of these people that don't look like they're in great health are ever really connecting to the ground or being grounded in any way, shape, or form, and they're building up potential static electricity, if you will, or building up charge, if you will. And so they're always disconnected from the earth with all the shoes that we wear and so forth. And so sure enough, he wanted to test it. So then he had problems with migraines or something to the effect, or some health problems. He went ahead, taped across his bed a strip, put the copper wire on it, and slept where his legs were touching that copper strip, and basically slept really great, and all his shit went away. Then he went down to UCLA and to Arizona or whatever, and tried to go to the universities, and no one would listen to him. And he was like, "That's crazy." And then one guy said, "Okay, I'll back all your studies, and we'll see. We'll just see." And sure enough, it was so obvious that everybody that had any problem, it would get rid of inflammation, it would get rid of this, that, and the other, if people were just grounding and getting rid of that buildup in them, that negative in charge, that positive negative charge. And the earth has that. And so as soon as our soles of our feet are touching the ground, that's like animals when they're walking around, dogs and cats outside, they're constantly grounding, and they're so that they're healthy and well adjusted and and whatnot. And so that's, I don't know, that was the story. Basically, he figured it out, and he sells all sorts of grounding stuff. He helped his mom, his old mom. He helped all sorts of people, and the studies proved that everybody's inflammation went down, and this and anxiety and all these other ailments that were physical and mental were alleviated just by them standing on a grounding mat or practicing the earthing and grounding. And that's just something that I stumbled upon early on, and had been practicing for at least 7 years now.
Now we have grounding mats, Zach. I need to find them again. Lockwood made them for us, wrapping the coil. The same principle that he made these.
Yeah, these you
pads.
just plug into the outlet, though.
You plug into the outlet and you put your feet on the copper, and it grounds you. And again, the same type of thing. Yes, we are electrical beings in an electrical universe, in a field, exchanging energies with it.
It's something so simple that
Something
we're not
so simple, it's not complicated.
Yeah. And so I think even in colder places, unfortunately, like where I'm at here in Denver, and a lot of people are in areas where you can't just go stand out on the ground because it's frozen and it's got snow on it or ice on it. And it's like, well, how the hell am I going to, ground or earth now?
Yeah, snow or pure water is one of the best insulators.
Oh, it is?
It is. Salt water is a conductor, and a pure water is an insulator. Again, just the alchemy of the simple alchemy of nature.
Well, I was talking about, it's kind of hard to ground when it's cold out on your feet.
It is.
And so it's like, what do you do? And I thought of something, and people can take the idea and run with it. But basically, you build like a little tiny meditation yurt, if you will, that you build close enough to your house or an outlet at your house where you have almost like a big electric blanket or a copper heating mat, and you put whatever substrate you want on the floor, whether it's sand or whether it's dirt or cocoa or whatever you want to put that's soft on your feet. And you create like almost like a little earthing, grounding, meditation, little yurt tent thing that you could plug it in, and then the ground would warm up and you can go out and you can meditate in it. And it's kind of like a teepee or a yurt, if you will, that you could then, and then in the center, you do the tree of life. You have a pole, like one of those poles that you can either do yoga or Pilates or stretching or Kung Fu or whatever, that goes up the center. And then on the floor, you draw the flat earth map, of course.
That would be beautiful. Yeah, the prettier concept. Lockwood, the ones he made were not taking you outside, so it wasn't the ideal. But for being in Denver and in Colorado, he made, I think it was like an acrylic cutting board. He drilled holes in it and ran a copper grid, and then plugged it in, and you would sit and put your feet on the copper grid, and it would ground you while you were inside, and help you do the same thing. That, again, I think anytime you can do things naturally, though, and go outside and do it, it adds to the spiritual energy. I mean, being in a yurt, smoking a blunt, and meditating along with it is probably a step above the acrylic and the plug-in.
Yeah, then you can
hold take any time, right? Yeah.
Hold ceremony, yeah. And
but there's always other ways to do it too. Yeah.
one of the other things too is, you remember, okay, all these past cultures, they had all these round houses, the yurts, the teepees, that they knew that the energy didn't get stagnated. They got us in the boxes with the bed. David Weiss mentions this with the bed and how their boxes, and then all the energy in the corner of the houses are getting stuck, and it doesn't flow. And I think that's one of the things that we need to get back to is that sort of a structure that is more like a yurt or a teepee, and to have our houses or our living environments more flowy and more, where energy doesn't get stuck.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to discharge.
Yeah, I
Did
think
you
that's
know?
yeah, the structure for engineering. I think they understood and overstood that, okay, this is the ideal structure. It's going to withstand winds, and there's probably all these amazing properties in terms of a circle or a dome it's the micro of the macro, just like on all the cathedrals, right?
Mm-hmm.
The domes.
In every
And then-
doorway, in every toss when the song in your eyes, in every church doorway, and that it all shows exactly the architect. Look at the Taj Mahal. Look at some of the Muslim ones. The mosques are absolutely some of the most magnificent examples of it. But you're right, it's in all of the. You can say churches, but I can say in all of the old religious buildings, it's written into them.
And that's just the micro of potentially the macro, which we may potentially have this dome above us, right?
Right, it's a fractal. I agree. You're right. I think some of the better ones are a fractal of the big picture. So yeah, what we got going on.
I don't know about you guys, but my head is starting to hurt from these earmuffs I'm wearing.
Yeah, I remember when I used to talk on my brick Altel cell phone that I used to press up against my head, and I had to change from side to one ear to the other because I could feel the tumor growing. They were so thick, those old phones.
Yeah, I used to have a phone tumor I used to joke about. That's great.
Oh, and I'm laughing because in the chat, Doc Michael, who was at our house too, and Lockwood was there with the acrylic boards and the copper grids on them. He took one home with him to California, and he was like, "Yeah, thanks a lot for that acrylic board with the copper on it, because airport security had a whole list of questions for me on what it was." Well, we want every trip to be a memory, something to remember back and giggle. So there you have it. It's the journey.
That's right.
110.
So before we get on out of here, James, I got to know, are you popping from seeds now? Are you taking cuttings? How are you getting your crops in from a...
Yeah, we've been cloning, where we take cuttings. We've been cloning for a long time. And when we get certain strains that do well for us, then we hold on to those strains and we make mother plants. And when they're in veg, then we'll take cuttings and take the clones and put them in clone domes in a clone tent. And then those little babies, when they pop roots, then we transplant them into little pots, and then again, and it gets planted maybe 2 or 3 times depending, and then they finally get into their final home pot, or whatever you want to call it. But I do have I have amazing storage of genetics, of cannabis genetics, that I do have that's hidden away, and that it's at one point I'll when I get the opportunity in the right circumstances, I'll be excited probably to pop those genetics and to run with them. But
so do any of your clones go transgender on you, or is that too political right now?
Yeah, I make sure that they all They all stay the
They
sex
say
that they're
they all
supposed to
say
be.
this
Yes.
damn straight. You
That
just
the nature intended, exactly, 100%. I don't do anything. I don't mess with them. I don't put them on any hormone blockers. I don't castrate them. So basically, the clones all stay female because they're coming from
nice.
female mothers. And so when you propagate and take the cuttings, the genetics, the only thing that would change and make them hermaphrodite
Garbly hermaphrodite. What would make it
is
make
a
what?
lot of stress. Yeah,
Oh,
they'll pop
interesting.
seed. They'll pop seeds.
So if you stress them out, interesting.
You don't want to
Interesting.
stress them out. Yeah, if you
Yeah.
stress them out or mess with the light schedule, so you really want to get on forums, and there's a lot of people that talk. Lots of information is out there of people that just ask questions constantly, and there's a lot of great people that answer all over the internet. And so anything you want to know, I mean, obviously, you just go watch YouTube. When it comes to like, okay, how do I make sure that my plants don't hermaphrodite and don't stress out, and and so they won't do X, Y, and Z, or anything that you run into. Okay, my plants, they have yellow leaves, and then you'll get a bunch of people saying, well, it could be this, it could be shock, it could be was your pH right in your water, when you watered your plants, and what did you feed them with, et cetera, et cetera. Did you shock them? Maybe they're in nutrient lock. There's all these different things that you can learn over the years if you just ask the questions, and it's as simple as typing it into your phone, of course, as we know.
And then how long do you veg out those clones before you flip them into flower?
Yeah, they would get roots, and then they would stay in the veg for probably at least 2 months.
Oh, nice.
And yeah. Sometimes we can run them faster. It depends, and get them flipped into a room depending on the ceiling height of the room, because I have different ceiling heights. So, but so you can veg anything from a month to 2, and depending, obviously longer, depending on how big your ceilings are and how big you want your plants to be. But just in a 10 by 15 room, let's say, you would veg plants for maybe 2 months, with let's say 9-foot ceilings, or 8-foot ceilings, or whatever, wherever your height of your lights are. But there's a lot that goes into it, but it's like anything. If you just have passion for it, and then you'll do your homework, and you'll learn really quickly if you're really interested and have a relationship with the girls, with the plants. You want to, and it's medicine, man. And get this, I'll drop a huge truth bomb that I love, and I want to throw out there for everybody, is, and I haven't done this yet, because again, I do the cloning, and I'm not popping seeds much. But if you put a seed in your mouth, it doesn't matter if it's a cannabis seed or any type of seed for that matter that grows fruits or vegetables. It's going to read your frequency, your vibration, and your DNA, and your imprint, your fingerprint, your genetic fingerprint, if you will, and it will grow that food for you. And it'll grow that medicine for you. If you put it in your mouth and then you plant it and grow it, that is for you.
Oh yeah, I've mentioned that here before.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's some gravy that people need to remind. That's, again, it goes back to the energy, frequency, and vibration, and that stuff's really real, and that we can impart that, like, just like we do in water, and then you put that water in another container of water and shake it up, and now that water got the same frequency, same thing. You're just making copies, CDs.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Burning.
Pop a handful of seeds in my mouth and just kind of hold them there while I'm getting the pot ready, getting the soil ready, getting the soil wet down and all that good. And it's just sitting there for 10-15 minutes, just sitting there in my mouth doing nothing.
Serious?
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
And so what happened? Did you smoke that and go to the moon?
No, they popped out mail.
Like you. They had little beards and everything.
You're just too damn Daryl, Josh.
You should have seen them. They were big, beautiful boys, but fuckers, they were boys.
Oh, that's funny.
They were like trees.
Yeah, I have some feminized seeds, but those, those are very. I guess I got those at some industry glass and cannabis shows, some industry cannabis shows, from the guys. Shoot, what are their names? I want to mention them. They used to have a podcast in Ocean Grown Genetics. Ocean Grown Genetics. It was a group of guys like Ninja, OG, Jedi. They had Vader. They had some cool names, like, and there was a group of like 3 or 4 guys out in California, Southern California. There were a bunch of genetic guys, and so I have a lot of their amazing genetics. But I haven't popped any yet, and they're feminized. And so I'm looking forward to the day that does happen. And imagine if you're with a group of people and you have a family and everybody puts it in their mouth before you plant it.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
All that different stuff in there.
So
what?
I'm running 2 feminized autoflowers right now. I've tried to pop 2 photos, but neither one have managed to sprout up out of the dirt. It's like I pop them and they get a nice big taproot, but as soon as they hit that dirt, nothing happens. They just kind of sit there. So I don't know what's going on there. It's really interesting.
So I think maybe what it might be is what happens is that the dirt is too compact. You need to have it be like mixed in with like the perlite.
It's about 30, probably 30-40% perlite. Maybe I'm probably closer to 30.
And are you using organic soil or cocoa or what kind of moss, peat moss?
Happy frog.
Happy frog. So maybe mix some happy frog. Do like 50% happy frog and 50% like a cocoa with perlite. Just a straight cocoa with perlite, and do a 50-50 blend.
You think maybe the happy frog's a little too hot?
It might just have. Yeah, it might be. I don't know. It might be better to get it into a more inert.
Yeah.
Medium. And the medium is, your whatever you're using that you're growing your plants in. So just something that's not so organic, and maybe just to get it going.
Ian asked if the dirt is cool. It's not terribly cool. It's definitely room temperature. I keep all my dirt in a plastic bin in the basement, but the seedlings I bring upstairs. So I pop them in a paper towel. Well, then they go from my mouth to the water to the paper towel, and then once they sprout, I'll pop them in the dirt, and all that's done upstairs in the kitchen. My wife was tasked a couple of years ago with getting some plants for her office, and she got the plants, and then nobody else was taking care of them, and she kind of fell behind, and all the plants started to wither and die. Then they're like, "Hey, what's going on with these plants? You need to get rid of all these. We'll get some new ones or something." She's like, I might be able to do something. So she got a bit of a green thumb. So we got a whole kitchen full of cuttings. Just literally, I've got 3 blurple lights installed in my kitchen counters right now, and just cuttings everywhere, all over my kitchen and dining room. It's pretty funny. So she's caught the bug. So I got the LEDs in the basement and the blurples upstairs.
Yeah, the LEDs are finally, with the cannabis, they're finally, getting to a place where the right price and the right efficacy in that combination, where it's kind of coming to where it's crossing the scale, the economic scale, right? So LEDs is something that if you are trying to start and you have capital, then at this point, I would probably look at certain LEDs for sure going forward.
And well, I'm even on the low end of the spectrum, just because I'm very small. I'm not in some 10 by 15 room where I have to worry about lights bright enough to be able to get them at the top of a 9-foot ceiling. So it's relatively small. I'm just running Actually, what I'm growing under now are just some T5s with the LED bulbs in them, and there's
Yeah.
6 of those, and they're just 6-8
Love it.
inches right above the plants. So it's
Oh, wow.
one humidifier and one tiny little heater. So I'm keeping it about 55 degrees on my relative humidity and around 71, 72 degrees on my temperature. And we're just
Is it
cruising
a
right along.
tent? Is it
It's
a
kind of,
little room?
it's like the lunar lander of grow spots, you know.
It
really
love
is.
it. I love it. The Lunar Lander Grow House.
Yeah,
We should actually sell that. That
we
would
really
be
should. That would be
that
awesome.
would be an amazing little grow that people could like set up themselves, and it would look better than the Lunar Lander, but it would look exactly like Lunar Lander. They unzip it and
Truly go to the moon.
You know,
Yeah,
I've got some of those gold foil mylar emergency blankets still packed up down there because that's like all the inside of my grow space. It was just, you know, styrofoam boards, as many as I could fit into my car, duct tape, a couple of furring strips for support, and it's probably about 2 or 3 times the cost of a couple good grow tents. And if I'd have just been smart about it, I'd have probably just bought 2 grow tents. It'd been a lot easier to contain the environment and keep everything under control. And this way, it's just not quite as sealed in as I would like. But I did get the T6 AC Infinity inline fan with the little monitor on it. So that's really helping me keep track of my temperature and humidity. Is just having that little control box mounted in the stairwell, so I can just take a look on my way down, or I pull the app up on my phone and I can control the fan on my app and check out. It compiles all the data, gives me charts and all kinds of graphs, lots of fun, cool stuff.
Through AC so you got like a little lab going.
It's not even that. It's all done through AC Infinity and their app that connects to the inline fan. So the fan's got a little probe that you hang there at canopy level, and it just monitors the humidity and temperature. And we'll call
it the Lunar Lander Lab, Lunar Lander Cannabis Lab.
There's got to be a good way to do it. I know I can get some curtain rods cheap as shit. There's got to be a way. Let's see.
The Canalander grow set.
Canalander. Make your own moon rocks.
Right? Yeah.
So I guess that's it. You know, I was on Breaking the Chains of Addiction Volume 2 just a couple of days ago. If you guys haven't already, go on over to Awesome Austin's channel and check that out. It's probably the second or third video that he's put out. He's put out Alex Michaels' song that he did for him. He did a clip then from the Truthers Hour of Comedy. He did a clip out of there, and then the next one down.
Is this the Austin that was at Flytoberfest?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
And what did he do? What are you talking about again? Sorry.
No, it's all right. He last month he did basically it's sort of like a special show. He does the Mellow Dome and he'll do a Wake and Bake, but then he was doing this sort of one-off. It was breaking the chains of addiction, and because he has come so far in his addictions, and a lot of the other people around him have come so far in their addictions, he just kind of put a show together, and they all kind of came and talked about what their addictions were and how they came through them and got to the other side. And then he just did another one, a volume 2 on Wednesday. So volume 3 should be then coming up in December. If it holds. So yeah,
and so this, go on.
It's super powerful. Jeremy, We Want to Know More, who you probably have seen in chat a few times. He was on there with us, and really just to hear these guys' stories, it really is amazing. It really is almost a whole nother level of sobriety. There's sober, and then there's heroin sober.
Yes.
And it's only because it's just a completely another level. Yeah. Nowhere else can you be heroin sober, but when you're heroin sober, everything else, you're just still in an addiction. You've traded one addiction for another, but if you can get the fuck out of heroin, I consider that a victory, and you're entitled to do whatever the fuck you need to do to stay away from heroin. That's how I see it.
Yeah, I went to when I was younger. I think I was in Toronto, living in Toronto in high school at the time, I think I was 18 or 19, and I went to Hazleton, which was a treatment center. And so that was, for me, it wasn't about, luckily enough, I was fortunate not to get wrapped up with heroin or crack. Um, and I was before the meth generation. So I didn't get wrapped up in any of those ones, but it definitely was obvious when I was, there and we were all working through our issues and problems that in in the center with all the kids, um, the ones that did dip into heroin, unfortunately, that was the strongest hold out of any substance or addiction that, and you could tell they were completely up against a different battle. And it was very apparent. And yeah, and that's what's so sad about what obviously we all know in the truth movement, what our government did when we took over the poppy fields in Afghanistan and imported and flooded the markets with prescription heroin, all these opioids in Florida and all these different markets. And there was so many people that, got their back hurt, and then all of a sudden kids are hooked on all these pills, and kids are dying in Florida and so on and so forth. So we kind of know, how much of that demon is used against us in this spiritual war, whether it's, it's low frequency self-medication versus high frequency self-medication. We all have to self-medicate one way or another, and to each their own, whether you work out 3 times a day or whether you smoke cannabis. It's how do you choose to self-medicate? And if you ask me, I want to raise my frequency while I self-medicate. And things that our government brings in, i.e. cocaine and opioids, is a low vibrational self-medication, and that's why they push it. So then they can take our energy and take our power because we're at a lower frequency, a lower vibration.
I agree with that so much. I'm too old for the meth generation too, and really the heroin, but we had the cocaine, and I didn't like it, not because it didn't feel good, but because, like, if you go out places with friends that were nice, good people, it turned girls into sluts. I mean, it really, not the same people. You're just not the same people on coke. It messes with your frequencies. It messes with you. You're not happy with the next day with your choices. And yeah, I listened to I'm testing my microphone, but yeah, I listened to you and Austin and the group doing the Breaking the Addiction, and it was the powerful show.
I really sort of do an addendum to that too, specifically about maybe like sexual addiction, because a lot of it's based sort of chemically. But I think I could probably share a little bit about sexual addiction and sort of how it ties into all the other addictions and personality defects I happen to have at the time.
It's the high.
It's the high, and it's the self-medication. It's the medicating part. It's the dopamine trigger.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's the hunt or the kill or the mounting, I suppose you could say.
Yeah, I guess you could say, is this self-medication? Is this self-medicating raising my frequency or lowering it? And is it hurting anybody or not? And so as long as, the porn thing obviously hurts other people, in my opinion. I'm completely against that. So that is a low frequency thing right off the bat, because the people that are involved in it, I'm sure there's low frequencies there. And so that medication, if you're self-medicating, is you can't control the frequency. And same thing with, like Cammie was saying, with the cocaine. Imagine what when I read the process of what it takes to make cocaine, it's so gross and disgusting, the energy and frequency and vibration that's going into that, versus something like the cannabis, where you're putting intent in the water and the oil, and with all the plant medicine, other herbs, not just cannabis. I keep mentioning cannabis, but you have all the other herbs that we could forage that are medicinal, that we can eat and forage all around us, if we would just learn at least 10 plants all around us that we can identify that are medicinal or edible, this world would just change.
Well, in the jungles of South America, the native people there, whose names I don't know, and I'm probably insulting by not knowing it, but they literally walked around with coca leaves tucked into their cheek to make it through their day as far as working and to be without pain. They would exchange coca leaves with each other as a greeting, because this is my regional plant I give to you, that's your regional plant you give to me. It was only when, American capitalism or whatever got involved and
made it ugly.
Yeah, turned it into the ugly, horrible thing it became.
Right, and again, it was a beautiful natural. And
Wade Davis did some great ethno botanical research. If you've never read Serpent and the Dragon or any of his books, Serpent and the Rainbow, sorry, he was great in some of that early, like 80s, 70s. I don't know, it's been years since I read his stuff.
Oh yeah, good old Serpent and the Dragon and the Snake and the Lizard book, right? No, I knew which one you meant. Trying to think. Seems to me like there was some other questions I had for you, but damn it, I think I just missed my window, and now I've hit the wall and cannot remember
them. In terms of grows, yeah, like, it's like with anything, like, at first I wasn't even, it wasn't even something that I consciously, I was like, I was about to go wolfing in Ireland. This was like 10 years ago or so. And I was about to go wolfing in Ireland, that worldwide organic farming where you go and you just exchange work and live.
Oh, thank you for explaining that. You gotta go wolfing in Ireland.
I liked imagining all the possibilities before he clarified. It's like at what point, but like woofing, ooh.
It was some nonprofit organization back in and I was looking at it and I was that close. It was like, okay, should I stay in Denver and start growing, or should I go off to Ireland and just work on this farm in Bantry Bay, Ireland, on the coast? And it was set up that everything just aligned that I stayed here in Denver. But, so I ended up kind of falling into it, and then, and slowly but surely, realized that, hey, this is medicine. And when you start to see the truth and have eyes to see and ears to hear, and everything starts to make sense, and you're like, oh my gosh, we're in backwards land. You realize how important this medicine is, and how alternative plant medicine that raises the frequency and vibration is necessary in a time and place and space where people are subscribing to low vibration, low frequency. And that's what the matrix is pushing, and everybody's hooked on it, whether it's a distraction, whether it's Netflix, whether it's food, or whether it's all these different things that are lowering your vibration and frequency. We can use the plant medicine to reverse that and tap in to a higher frequency. But again, we got to do some of the work. We got to do some homework, and that means detoxing and making your antenna stronger, right?
Going outside, putting your feet on the ground. Your feet on the ground. Sometimes it is cold, but get your feet on the ground. As I like shoes, I'm in South Carolina, even though it is chilly here today.
Yeah, the snow just fell here in Colorado, like literally last 24 hours. But it's been such a ridiculously mild winter so far. Like the resorts, all the ski resorts are, I'm sure, incredibly bummed right now.
Yeah, I'm sure they're crying. I was watching because, part of the joy of living here is looking at and seeing when it's 75, 80 degrees here and snowing there. And you guys were matching us in warmer a lot of the days into this fall. And so I'm just saying it took some of my vengeance glory away. But I guess that's a good thing. You shouldn't get joy out of the suffering of others. But we all learn these lessons every day. And that one's a good one to learn.
Always reminded. Yeah.
But I do miss Denver sometimes. It was beautiful. And I am enjoying this part of the journey because South Carolina is beautiful in a whole different way. So,
Can you guys garden like with like if you had a greenhouse there? How would you have to dig down a few feet to make it kind of like a thermal greenhouse, or could you just have a greenhouse and easily grow year round there?
I would think you could have a greenhouse and grow year round. It's very clayish soil. It can get cold here, but it usually gets the coldest at around like 28 degrees, 29 degrees, 30. So it feels cold, but it doesn't get too far below freezing, though there are the records, there's record years where it will go to 6 degrees or something like that. It's not the norm, it's a freak year. So overall, I think a greenhouse would be pretty easy because I'm right on the borderline where you can grow avocados outside. I mean, not very far away from me, you can grow avocados. I'm really, really close to that line. Right now, I have arugula and stuff still going crazy in the garden, and we got down to our coldest nights last couple of nights. I think like 31 degrees and 30 degrees, and so we're cold right now, but it seems like we're about as cold as we get.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to garden outside here in the mountains.
Oh, it's impossible. It used to be like when we started Globe Busters and doing the Flat Earth. I was good friends with Curious Life of a Flat Earther. I still am. I adore Kirk, and he's very into permaculture and giving me all the stuff I should be doing now. And it's like, yeah, except for I've got 2 feet of snow on my garden. He's like, oh, that's right. He's in South Florida. It's a little bit different, but yeah, your gardening, you can't, it's not that it always does, but it can snow at the end of August, beginning of September. And granted, when it snows that easy, gets warm afterwards. It doesn't, hold that temperature for months and months. Colorado changes a lot, but you can get brutally cold streaks early and late. And I know, like up in the mountains, I know that I've spent more than one 4th of July with it snowing up in the Alma region by Fairplay. Yeah. Used to have a cabin up there, and one year they were outlying. That was past the 4th of July, or on the 4th of July, where they'd had so much snow that at town council meeting they were actually writing a ordinance against any more snow until September. It didn't work, but they did pass a law.
Yeah.
Alma's not a very big town when you think of their town council and that their town council. It's it's a town of 400 people, right by South Park.
South Park, yeah. Matt and Trey, I think one of the guys went to the high school right here in Evergreen, and
right.
One of the teachers, Mr. Garrison. I'll meet people here in town around Evergreen that they'll say, "Yeah, I had Mr. Garrison back in the day." Blah blah blah. I went to that high school, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, that's just amazing.
Yeah, my niece and nephew go to Evergreen. Or they did go when they were there. The ones that, like I told you, I had a brother in Indian Hills, not too far away from you. That's where they went to high school. But yeah, they have that where I think it was Trey grew up. I could be wrong on it. And then in Fairplay, if you go down 285 and keep going to Fairplay, in Fairplay, there's a part of the town that's marked off, and it's like a little South Park with all the buildings and cutouts. And yeah, I've gone and had my picture taken with Mr. Hankey, and I mean, it's been a long time, but.
Yeah, they're genius, and I just love all the. I haven't been watching them like I used to, of course, and I'll just catch a little bit here and there now. But with the whole cannabis and Randy and his whole farm integrity farms and all that, it's just there's some amazing comedy there. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, I used to watch all the time, and I haven't really watched them in years. It's funny, but I did like visiting and doing the Fairplay, run of it. But yeah, they've had some funny stuff in that Bigger, Longer, and Cutter, their movie, the musical. That should have taken so many musical awards. That really was well done for a storyline, a musical, and a cartoon. I'm sorry, it was great.
Which one?
I think it was Bigger, Longer, Uncut. the one with Satan, and
Oh yeah.
I don't want to ruin it for everybody, but the Mormons were right, that one.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about the Book of Mormon, where they did the Broadway actual theater, the Broadway show that Matt and Trey, they wrote Book of Mormon, and that was on
Right.
Broadway for forever, and it was the longest running comedy that just blew houses away, in every city. Yeah, and it was just a big making fun of Mormon sort of thing. I don't know. Did anybody else catch the Book of Mormon and on Broadway?
Nope, I missed that one.
I missed that one, and that's funny because I've seen most Broadway shows.
Was Rick Schroeder the star?
Rick Schroeder. It was just whoever was the lead in that particular town. I had one of those vacation rentals, the 420 vacation rentals downtown Denver, and I actually had the lead and his girlfriend stay at one of my places. That was
they're at Buell
yeah,
Theater where they're playing. Yeah,
it was the Airbnb, and there at the main theater, and it was when Book of Mormon came into town, and so I was able to get really good tickets because the actual main lead was staying in my vacation,
nice.
my Airbnb downtown. Yeah. So yeah, it was pretty awesome. It was hilarious. Yeah, making fun of the Mormons. I mean, obviously I love the whole new gravy factor when you realize, the secret societies and the Freemasons and the aprons and the handshakes and how it's all very similar, and then the lodges and all this, how it all ties together, and it's really interesting. The Mormon, there's some, you can get into it. It's funny. And it's funny because I love the people in general that we all meet. Mormons are great people, and it's mostly the people on the lower, they're probably not potentially led into the lower basement, if you will. But yeah, when you break it down and look at it, it's got all the same symbols and stuff that of the occult, and it's just all there in plain sight. It's like sometimes I feel like I want to go undercover and become Mormon and go back 15, 20 years ago and just see what all the secrets are.
Well, my brother is married to a Mormon person that's a practicing Mormon, and he's not, and so they heavily go, they've been trying to, for over 20 years, convert him into the church, and I think they even outreach more to like the families of these people, thinking if they get the family members converted, they can, go for the husbands and, raising the children and everything. So everybody gets visited by the Mormons, but I think we got visited especially more so because of, the family ties. And they quit coming to the door because Bob kept on teaching them about flat Earth and letting them in and join the conversations. And he'd sit them down here. Yeah, go ahead, come on in.
Yeah, of course, 100%. Like, and
I'd be rolling.
If he showed them on their stockings, underneath the clothes that they wear, right, the little shorts and the tops, they have light little insignias, and guess what they are? They're the protractor, the square, and the compass, the same Freemasons symbols.
Mm-hmm.
They're on their pajama pants and the stuff that they wear underneath. Come
on. Yeah, that equipment that you use on a flat surface, never a sphere, but okay. Yeah, you would think that, but yeah, the missionaries haven't been to our house in years. I think they have a big X over us.
Yeah.
So
I was told that by a Mormon recently, actually, that little tidbit that, and I pieced it, like, I was like, tell me some, this, that, and the other. And sure enough, they said that there was these symbols. And I said, what do the symbols look like? Send me a picture. And she sent me a picture, and she lives in Utah, and her husband is still practicing, and he goes to the temple and does work. and helps the ancestors. They have some interesting stuff that they do. It's pretty cool.
So I wonder if that's what makes their underwear magic.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of them don't know what makes their underwear magic. I think
Doc Michael, magic undies. He's right on it.
They're told that they're magic, and I think maybe the power of just the belief, right?
Yeah. Shout out to Brothers on a Budget popping in to say hello. What a coincidence, because I need a magic wand for changing a heater core in my Ford Edge. Brothers on a Budget, you got a magic wand for changing heater cores in a Ford Edge 2012 without having to take out my driver's side seat and the center console and the dashboard and the hood and all sorts of other fantastic things I have seen that needed to be removed just to swap out the heater core in my 2012 Edge. Anyway, short of a magic wand, I may just, I don't know, buy a little 12-volt heater and drive around like that. And
definitely.
Fill up my antifreeze every fucking day.
Wear more clothes.
Wear more clothes. Right. And gloves.
Some mitts.
Hey, on Monday, my work is getting rid of the mask mandate. So I'll no longer be required to wear a mask in the one place left there I had to wear a mask.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that's exciting. That's because the third time the courts came and ruled that the St. Louis County mask mandate was illegal. So in their benevolence, St. Louis County went ahead and retracted their mask mandate, I guess, because it was illegal to begin with. So I guess
I saw a short video of people, I think it was in Brussels. I can't remember. They were on the street protesting and fighting the police. Did anybody see that?
I think I may have. It was about like a week ago. Or is this a new one? There's been a lot going on there.
I've seen a lot of fake ones too. I've seen a lot of old footage being reposted as current footage.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting as to whether or not there's various small countries that are finally standing up. When the cops in those certain countries, they just have water cannons, and I don't think even the cops have guns. So the protesters would probably feel a little bit more comfortable.
Ariel Truth Seeker in the chat. Welcome. I don't think I have Ariel wrenched up either. Done. Speaking of Ariels, I will be over on THC, the Truthers Hour of Comedy, with Mike LeBrash. It'll be myself and his friend from work from a while back, from the way I understand it, Ariel Watts, I believe was her last name. I don't know. That's Volts? Fuck, I don't know. Something like that. Ariel, that's one thing I do remember, is because there was a conversation on his Facebook post about her pronunciation. Was it like the Little Mermaid? Or was it like the letters? And sure enough, that's how he remembered it, by writing it down when they worked together, was with the letters R-E-L. Ariel. As opposed to Ariel. The Little Mermaid. But Sunday. I'm not even going to make Walt do it. It'll be Sunday, 6 p.m. Central, 7 Eastern. Still, that might have been pretty funny. So yeah, make sure you guys head on over to Mike LeBrash's channel. I don't know if I managed to get the link in this description, or if it was just in last week's. I don't know. Something tells me I didn't put it in this one. I've just been 2 steps behind all day, mainly because I was this close to just bailing on the show this morning and sleeping in. It's not very often I wake up at 3 a.m. and think, oh, I just want to go back to bed. Usually I'm bright eyed and bushy tailed, but not this morning. So I am going to enjoy a nice little break and respite. And like Zach, I think my head's getting to be a little sore from wearing these cans for, what are we, 3 hours? Well, going on 4 hours now, almost 4 hours.
Yeah.
And another 2 hours this morning. It's 6 hours. These motherfucking headphones on. But I do love Fridays, and I do appreciate you guys hanging out with us, not just here, but over there on Truth Frequency Radio. We had gotten some really nice messages from Chris Geo. Very, very warm messages, and I want to thank you guys so much for all you do for us and supporting us, not just here, but like I said, over there as well, too. So, and I do think there are some more changes coming by way of Truth Frequency Radio. So be on the lookout for that. I don't know. I've heard the same thing for the last 2 years. So it could go either way.
Yeah.
We might get Zoom. Yay.
Yeah.
Not the first time I've heard that. But if we do, that'll be nice because I prefer Zoom to Skype because fuck Skype. So I think that's it. Let's see. We got Breaking the Chains of Addiction Volume 2 this last Wednesday over on Awesome Austin's channel. I've got the Truthers Hour of Comedy coming up this Sunday over on Mike LaBrash's channel. Anybody else? What do you got going on, Zachary? Anything spectacular? You got some videos coming out? You got some videos you put out recently? What are you doing? What are you doing with your life, Zach?
Been hitting the research. I was actually watching some Walter Lewin videos again today.
Nice.
Getting on some more. But yeah, Lucas turned me on. I can't even try to name this thing. But he uses electrostatics and plates, and it's all about filtering and this and that. And
before we get too far,
yeah.
Did you see the video I sent to you, basically, Zach, with the Mercury?
Yeah, that's just crazy.
Was that
dude.
crazy? I think I dropped it in the chat here.
I made sure to bring it up this morning when we had Lucas on. Before I bailed out, I wanted to make sure I brought that up, that post that you put in there.
What about the Mercury?
I'm trying to show you. Hang on, let me get it up here. Oh, I don't have any power, Josh. No power.
Give you power.
All right.
Yeah, Mercury's come up with Patrick, a friend of mine here, and I. We've stumbled upon some good stuff.
Okay. Really short. Now, I've actually looked into this since I saw the video, and you can buy one of those right now on eBay for like $600-800. They are still in use in a lot of old elevators, these Mercury arc rectifiers. It is a known, it's something they definitely used and are still using, but the video is just nuts.
It generated power for the elevator?
It's a rectifier. It basically converts the AC to DC.
Okay.
From what I understood in the brief little hour I spent looking into it, probably I may have missed it and got it completely wrong. As you say, there's more electrically adept guys at this, but definitely just seeing it at work in an elevator is just nuts.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
That is so cool, Walt.
Well, thank you for showing that. And you can buy it on eBay.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
That's the best.
All righty. Love y'all.
Thank y'all. It was good to talk to y'all. I'll try to make it again next week.
Excellent.
Right.
Well, yeah, held up good. I was gonna say, yeah, with we have Glowbusters on Sunday, and Karen B, who has been so busy and going through so much, she's looking into, like, I go over like the star patterns and different things with her in rotations, and we want a way to show it that people that is simple. So she in her spare time is looking at the 3D modeling on computers and is trying to learn that so she can help model some of the things we're talking about. So I'm kind of excited to see how that goes. She is such an amazing person. Something I've always wanted to do and I can't make the computer go for, but I can barely keep a headset going.
And you're gonna show that on Sunday or share that on Sunday?
No. That's a long-term project on creating. She's learning how to do the modeling, and then we'd have to put it together in that. But no, Sunday is Glowbusters, and then on the side note, she's doing that, and I'm working on analemmas. I don't know why, but I am fascinated with analemmas right now. So I'm kind of working them in the different layers over the stars and that. So just keep my mind in the sky, feet on the ground. And with that, it's Friday night. Time for excitement.
I wonder if Glowbusters is going to be doing a show this week.
I think Glowbusters is doing a show this week.
What? Sweet.
I'm excited for it. I was planning on moderating and cooking and all that fun stuff.
Well, I look forward to it. I missed him last week.
Yeah.
All right, let's get the hell on out of here then. Shout out to Buddha in chat. Glad you are here. Glad to see you. Glad to have you. Always a pleasure. Need to get you on. I'd really like to speak to you. I want to get Miss Mays on here too. The thing I like about Miss Mays is it reminds me of like a female version of me. I mean, she hits the bong a lot more than I do. I tend to stick to my one hitter just because I still have to pay for mine. But man, she takes about as many bong rips as I do one hits. And she likes the word fuck. And it's hard to beat proper use and what's the word I'm looking for? Prolific use of the word fuck. But if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, head on over to Miss May's channel and check out her and Buddha. They have a really, really cool vibe and energy, a synergistic energy they have over there. I really dig it. But thank you guys. Thanks again, James. It is an absolute pleasure. Sorry we had to screw up with the times and the dates. Again, I'm not the world's best communicator, but I would love to have you back on. And I've heard a rumor of a friend of yours you might be able to bring with you one of these days. And some interesting tales he might have to tell.
Yep.
So
yeah, that could happen possibly
awesome.
In the near future, for sure. Thanks for having me, guys.
Anytime. Again, you've got the link.
Thank you, man.
Doors always open. You get bored on a Friday night, just click it, hop in, and say hi.
Awesome. I enjoyed it.
All right. Thanks, everybody. This has been an absolute pleasure. Let's see if I can't dig up some outro music. And we shall get out of here. Where'd you go? There we go. I knew it was here somewhere. Ha. Anyway, guys, have a great rest of your weekend. We will see you on Tuesday morning, right over there on Truth Frequency Radio. You guys be good, be well, think well, be better. Love you.